Okay, I'll do that. Oh, I didn't have that on there to do that, but,
No,
share on the panel.
Justin, why it's not?
Oh, what?
I undid it.
Why you into it?
I undid. I
Or
started,
the
oh, I started.
audio, cause we
One of
gotta
them's
share.
not. This one's sharing. That
Oh.
one's,
Okay,
it was too hard.
the YouTube thing.
I don't know, maybe that one's unplugged or something.
Okay. Um,
Okay.
I don't know if it's on YouTube though, because
All right, 4:15, let's go ahead and get the drainage committee meeting started. Let the record reflect that all members are present. Got 2 items on the agenda. Both items will be tabled.
Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Blanchard.
No, I'm not on
Adjourn.
Second by Mr. Porter. Second by Mr. Pearl, all in favor? Opposed? Adjourn.
Good job. You go get the personnel meeting for you to start. Let the record reflect all members are present. Item 1, request approval of the proposed personnel manual changes to section 2.1 vacancies, section 8.2 type of disciplinary action, section 10.6 internal control policy, subsection 4 internal controls over capital assets and expenditures, subsection 11 additional policies required for internal controls, procurement policy including RFP bidding process policy, jury standard,
That should be police.
police jury, contracting for services, section 10.17 federal funds bidding, contract requirements, section 10.25 administrative procedures and employee governance, section 10.26 information technology, software and system policy.
Okay, if you look at the attachment, you have more specifics about that. Goes through each section in detail. The vacancy section is to add when expressly authorized by an affirmative vote of the Assumption Parish Police Jury at a public meeting, the relevant department head shall have the authority to fill vacancies as described herein. This is information that was provided to us from the attorney that you all engaged with and recommendations he is making. So at this time, it's for you all to vote to see if this is in fact the policy you want to have in place and for us to adhere to. So I'm not sure if y'all want to take one and have a discussion, or if y'all want to even take this under the advisement and read to the next meeting. Just looking for some direction from you all. We did add a statement to the types of disciplinary action in all cases involving a violation of the Assumption Parish Police Jury Personnel Manual. The involved department head shall have the authority to administer discipline in accordance with this section up to and including termination. This is the page 33 is the list of numerous items that fall under types of disciplinary action. Then we move to the internal controls policy. It talks about values of trade-ins, and it gives further instruction as to how we are supposed to evaluate that. When contemplating a trade-in, vendor must provide you with a value of said trade. You must then follow the normal disposal procedures. The higher of either the trade-in value from a vendor or the highest bid received must be taken. Recommendation is then to be presented to the police jury at a meeting for approval. So basically, it says that we can have trade-ins, but we can't just assume a trade-in is the best value for that equipment. We do have to get the bids as required in the manual as well, and then we have to follow the option that is the greater of the two.
No, the question is that when you get that bid, the bidding process, you gotta advertise it.
Time is, yeah.
So you won't get a trade-in value until after you.
Well, you get your prices first. Get your bids and do everything first, and then get your trade-in value, and you see what option you can take at that point. Because getting those bids and advertising, yeah, it takes some time. There's no doubt.
After you get the bids and you keep it on then you get a trade-in price and use the trade-in value.
Right, correct.
Right.
But the jury has to approve that, so you also want to look at the timing of the agenda cutoff and getting it on your agenda to make sure if your trade-in value is the one you're going with, that they do keep it,
Yeah.
for
well,
30,
we met
60
every 2
days, something
weeks,
like that, yeah.
Should be.
Then we move on to subsection 11, which is policies for internal controls, RFP and bidding process. On number 1, we are taking out the word responsive, because that policy just what we have in place is just 3 telephone or facsimile quotes. They don't have to be responsive. We just have to document 3 attempts. We also added, based on the audit that we were you all are going to be presented the details this week. We did have a meeting with staff and all the external districts and the library regarding this. All public works projects in excess of $5,000 requires a written contract executed by both parties. Public Works contract is defined as any contract for the erection, construction, alteration, improvement, or repair of any public facility or immovable property owned, used, or leased by a public entity, including labor and materials. Public Works contracts have labor included, so anything in excess of $5,000, we actually have to have a written contract. This is a state law, revised statute 382241. Let's see, for federally, this is just an extra statement we're putting in the policy to make sure that anybody reading the policy, we have it in multiple spots so that they understand and follow the proper procedure. Adding in this section, for federally funded public works projects, the most restrictive policy must be followed, federal, state, or local. What we find sometimes is an employee might pull a state statute, a revised statute, and they might think, oh, okay, this is good. I'm just gonna follow this. I meet this criteria. But if they don't reference our manual, if it's a federal funded policy, our policy is more restrictive than that of the state. So that state statute is basically irrelevant because we're the more restrictive policy. So you have to be aware of what your funding source is, and then you have to follow the most restrictive policy. Then we move to the procurement policy for RFP and bidding. We're going to revise exception to the requirement of 3 quotes and or advertisement for official bids would be for the purchase of materials and supplies on Louisiana state contract. This is in place now. All purchases on state contract must have the actual state contract along with the pages that support the pricing printed and attached to the purchase requisition documents prior to the issuance of a purchase order. This is also as a result of the audit. We've had employees that are making a purchase on state contract. So they look up their state contract, they get their number, they fill out their requisition, and they put the prices. But there's no actual state contract attached to it. So we can't even look up the contract to verify it. And there's no way for the auditors to look at the pricing to see if they actually received state contract pricing. So this is just a reinforcement that the entire state contract must be attached, including the pricing sheet that should match the requisition being requested.
Exactly.
Procurement policy, including RFP bidding processes. Okay, this is what we're going to amend. Good business practices dictate that written contracts be executed for any arrangement over 5,000 in accordance with revised statute 2241. This is another section of the policy that references this $5,000 threshold that we have to have it. So we just have it in multiple spots in the manual. Then
Why is
we,
it stated as good business practice dictates and not a requirement like it does for the
this
public works
is the
contracts?
wording that we had before. We don't have to have good business practices. We just, because we do reference revised statute, we can just say, required practices dictate. And we can take good practices. This is some.
Is
language
it
that was-
because contracting for services doesn't fall under RS 382241? And they're just basically saying that you should follow that same statute?
Which you reference it?
That same,
2241? I can't answer as to specifically on that 2241. I just know that this statement references back to the 5,000, that it's required, that it must be executed. So in the previous language, it wasn't a requirement, where this language states it will be executed, meaning it's a requirement for anything over $5,000. Then we move for contracting for services on page 73. This is related to those I think we spoke about this at the last meeting, where the jury previously in February 11th, 2026 granted authority for the parish manager to execute any contract under $30,000 without legal or full board approval for single source vendors only. Since this requirement is in place for over $5,000, we felt that we needed to have a backup, and that was presented to you at the last meeting. So this actually amends the policy to add, at the regular police jury meeting held on July 8th, 2026, the police jury granted authority to the secretary treasurer to be the backup to the parish manager in his absence for the execution of said contracts. Federal funding bidding contract requirements, the thresholds in part 200 have been amended. So these are the new thresholds threshold amounts. Then we go to section 10.25, administrative procedures and employee governance. This is not something that I drafted. This is something that was provided to me by the attorney for presentation to you all and consideration to put in the meeting. It will be the next 3 pages. And then the last section is section 10.26, information technology, software and systems policy. This was a policy we had to create to put in the manual as a result of the audit to track our IT processes for monitoring expiration dates and IT support services and whatnot. So this is the recommendation that we've worked in conjunction with Mr. Justin Claymore on coming up with this. So we do propose that. The one that's really up for your consideration is section 10.25, those 2.5 pages.
All requests shall be submitted in writing to the Secretary of Treasury or special assistant to the Secretary of Treasury no later than 5 days prior to the scheduled meeting by noon. Man, the system ain't broken down, we want our phone call. For agenda items. That's saying you want it in writing 5 days.
I didn't do
I ain't
this.
saying,
I didn't do
it
this.
says.
Yes, it says.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that the reason for that is some kind of tracking mechanism. But if you all don't want it, again, this was proposed by him. It's up to you. And then the question, so if number 2 is not sufficient to you all that way, do you want to restrict it to, or open it up to say jurors can submit items via phone? Or anyone can submit items via phone?
I would think yours. My opinion.
Could we not just take out the in writing?
Yes, we could.
All requests shall be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer or Special Assistant to the Treasurer no later than 5 days.
As department heads, we do it in writing just because it's easier to track and simpler, but, I mean, if somebody walks to Katie's desk and verbally gives her an item, we don't say, can't take that,
Right.
you know? So yeah, we could take out the in writing.
And you can do 5, well, we do 5 days prior anyway.
Yeah, I think he had a different number and I counted it back. It's gotta be 5 days because it's Friday at noon.
Scratch that in writing.
Okay, remove the in writing. Okay,
And that includes the public as well. All right.
correct. Okay, Mr. Calabro just pointed out under item C, additions at the meeting. Additions must concern a matter of eminent importance and require, it has 2/3 vote, but it should be unanimous vote. That's recently been changed.
Individual jury members shall not direct, promise, or imply that any employee
I
will
was just
receive
reading
a
that.
state fees outside the established process. I mean, should be on paper, but.
They're always doing a good job.
just something to point out. Under, number 4, employee discipline policy, B, authority. Number 3 specifically states, department heads shall have the authority to discipline employees under their supervision for any documented violation of the police jury policy manual. Again, this is not my recommendation. This is what was presented to us. I just want y'all to be very well aware of it, that this does give a department head the authority to discipline an employee without conferring with jurors. So just making sure you're well aware.
We don't need to micromanage. My opinion. Direct supervision of employees and day-to-day operations is vested in the Secretary of Treasury Department heads. Individual interference with administrative functions may expose the jury members to legal and ethical liability.
Shouldn't there be more language under D, due process, number 3, employees may appeal disciplinary actions pursuant to the parish grievance procedures? Shouldn't there be some more
Well,
language in there? Because if they do want to appeal, they need to appeal to the governing body of the police
well,
jury.
we have a grievance procedure policy. So if they would reference the table, it's not in here because it's not new. If they would reference the table of contents of their personnel policy, there's a grievance policy,
Okay.
and that policy
Okay.
dictates that. I could add a statement to that stating that, refer to page,
Okay.
I could.
I don't think we need to kick it. You know, there's just a couple of them changes we made.
I have all of them noted.
You got all of them noted? Michael, you good? Calabro?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to accept the procedure policy changes with the notes made it by Ms. Torres, unanimous vote of the jury. Take the in writing off of the, special agenda inclusion. Make the little notes for the
Grievance
grievance
policy.
policy.
That's what I have.
My motion.
Motion by Mr. Duncan. Second by Mr. Carter, all in favor? Any nays? Motion passed. Item 2, request approval in probationary period for accountant effective 7/31/26.
Yes, I do make this motion for this approval. Ms. Delotte it's a very slow process on learning. It's a lot of, sitting and taking in information, but she's hanging in there and she's, she's working hard trying to capture it, and, we're gonna continue that process, but I do recommend the end of a probationary period.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ponville, Second by Mr. Blanchard, all in favor? Any nays? Motion passed. Item 3, request approval of the probationary period for grants coordinator effective 8/1/26.
Same goes for Miss Doreen. She's doing an excellent job. She's accomplished a lot. Still a lot yet to be done, which she's well aware of. But she's interacting well with existing staff. She's interacting well with outside agencies, being aggressive, making the calls, initiating conversations and getting her files in order. So I think we're finally moving in the right direction.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Palmville, second by Mr. Knockout, all in favor? Any nays? Motion passed.
Just a question, was that 30 days, 60 days?
60.
Well, 60
60
already?
days, 60 days already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was quick.
I know.
Item 4, request approval to terminate an outside APCC event worker due to lack of availability.
Yes, this is an event worker that we have, currently on payroll, and she has not worked an event in over a year. It just seems like her availability is not there. So rather than continue to keep her on as an active worker, I'm just requesting authorization to term this employee.
Motion by Mr. Knockout.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blanchard, all in favor? Any nays? Motion passed. Item 5, discuss payroll. Carter.
Yes, I put that on there. I think most of the juries are aware of. We had some upset employees last Friday for payroll. So for some reason, the check didn't hit the bank like it normally does in a timely manner like it normally does, that it used to. For whatever reason, just I asked the Secretary of Treasury what happened.
Well,
Before we get into that, let's just make this very simple. Let's just ask that everyone accepts to have payroll turn in by 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. That way we don't have this issue anymore. Before we get into all of that, that we really.
I
don't have
mean,
to
my
get
motion
into.
would be to have it turned in at least 1 or 2 days prior to whatever the date, payroll date is.
what you talking about turning in?
You,
Have payroll submitted
Submitted.
by,
The direct
Thursday.
deposit file?
yeah,
yes, ma'am.
And if we submit payroll, the direct deposit file 2 days early, employees are gonna get paid 2 days prior to payday.
some people get paid 2 days, it all depends on what bank you got. Some people get paid midnight. But it's, you getting paid for time that you already work, so you're not breaking any law. So we had a system in place that was working fine.
It didn't break. If you would let me elaborate, nobody did not get paid on payday.
We know that.
Okay, so what is wrong with the system in place?
Employee was used to getting paid at 12:01.
No, that's incorrect.
Let me talk. You used to getting paid at midnight, 12:01 on whatever paid, scheduled pay there was. Some employees didn't get paid until 12 o'clock that day. Some employees didn't get paid till 3 o'clock that day. It was texting, they called employees, German saying some of them account was being overdrafted and all this. Look, at the end of the day, whatever we had in place first, y'all submitting payroll at least 1 or 2 days prior to payday. We had no problems with that. If you're gonna make a change like that, come to the jury, ask our permission, send out a letter to all the employees, let them know you're gonna do something like that, so they don't be affected. Just to make a change like that, what was the reason?
My turn?
Mhm.
Okay, the reason is Capital One, when they were our fiscal agent, had a 2-day notice to get the direct deposit file to them. So if you all go way back when we had all the discussions about direct deposit, that's why we changed the pay period, because there's no way we could have a 2-day cutoff to get payroll to Capital One on a Tuesday and be paid on a Thursday. So we had to change the pay period, okay? So that meant when we changed the pay period, we had to submit our payroll file on a Wednesday for them to get paid on Friday, okay? When we switched banks this past year to Renaissance, over time, we realized Renaissance now has a 1-day notice. So we don't have to submit on a Wednesday. So what was happening, we had one payroll file that was being submitted on a Tuesday, and those people were getting paid 3 days early. And then we had others that were not getting submitted until the Wednesday or the Thursday. So different dates. That's a problem, because you got some employees getting paid here and some employees getting paid here, when all employees should be getting paid on a pay date. We never had a policy that stated you were getting paid at 12:01 on Thursday night. Never. Pay day is the Friday. okay? The last pay period, they all got paid on the Friday. The pay period before that, the Friday was a holiday, so they all got paid the Thursday. That was July 3rd. The pay period before that was Juneteenth. Friday was a holiday, so they got paid the Thursday. So their thinking that Thursday is the norm was not the norm. It was holiday circumstances, which the policy specifically states. There's no reason to pay employees prior to a pay date. If we're gonna now, the expectation, payday's on a Friday, and the expectation is all employees have to be paid on Thursday. So now, when the office is closed on Friday or Thursday, now we have to have all payroll paid by Wednesday, and that means I have to have it all submitted by Tuesday. I don't get timesheets from Road and Bridge till Tuesday afternoon.
Whatever we had in place, Kim, it was working. Nobody had a problem. So if y'all was submitting it 1 day early or 2 days early, it was working fine. There was no problem. Ron called the bank, somebody spoke to somebody at the bank today, did you?
Yeah.
And what does Ron want?
Well, they say best practices is, 2 days prior, but I got another text before, and they say 1 day prior to the day of paid date, right? So, the only thing I'm saying is if Friday is a payday, if 12:01 hit, it's a Friday, then funds should be accessed for people to use.
Can I share something else?
Yeah.
If I release that payroll file on Thursday, I still can't guarantee that 12:01 those funds will be there. We cannot control the time. The payroll file on Friday morning was submitted at 8:15. Both payroll files were submitted back to back within seconds. One employee got her funding at 11:30. I got mine at 1:30. 3 other employees got theirs at 3:30.
Yes, because they're going to different banks too.
We all the same bank. These ones I'm talking about, it's all the same bank.
Make it easy, submit on Thursday, by 3 o'clock.
What happened this past time? What's the excuse?
There's no excuse.
Yeah.
Payroll got submitted on Friday morning for same day remission. Everybody got paid payday Friday.
Everybody got-
One employee got to work Friday morning and I was not at the office and she was fussing and screaming that she had overdraft notices because her bills hit. Apparently her bank that she belongs to does not look at the balance at the end of the day. It looks at the balance when a charge hits and they assess overdraft charges versus the end of the day. That employee then proceeded to call other employees throughout the office and departments and said, call your jurors, call your jurors. We need to get this changed. That's what happened. Did something happen wrong? No, everybody got paid on payday.
Okay,
The
but
policy is right here. There's nothing that ever has said we had to provide it to them at 12:01.
No.
Never.
We never said it happened, but I think employees were used to having, being able to get their funds maybe when they wake up in the morning. So my question is, every Friday, which is a payday, you're telling me when you
Yeah,
come into the office, that's when you hit the button?
Unless
Awesome.
it's done, if it's done afternoon on Thursday, it's gonna be Friday, but we have no idea what time.
No, I'm asking the question.
Prior to this Friday.
I ain't worried about a holiday, I ain't worried about a holiday, a regular paid Friday. When you come in at 7:30 or 8 o'clock on a paid day Friday,
You submit,
You
you
come in
release
and
the
you
direct
submit the
deposit file.
you submit it every
Correct.
Friday.
there's no
Well,
way.
a payday Friday.
On a
There's no
payday
way.
Friday.
There's no way.
Well, how
Because
come someone was hitting it on Wednesday and Thursday?
But
If that's the case.
this didn't happen every single time. That's what I'm trying to tell you all. When we switched fiscal agents, it took us quite some time to get adjusted to Renaissance. We had a lot of things going on. We didn't even realize when it was hitting. And then it took quite a few months when I spoke to one of the accountants that was submitting for the Federal Programs Department, she finishes her payroll on Tuesday. So she was submitting and releasing, those files were getting released. They were getting funds right away. And then
I received mine on Friday anytime, but it'd be at 12:01 on Friday. Whenever
But
she
they're
was
not,
submitted on
and then,
Tuesday.
but I'm telling you, there were times they were getting released on Tuesday. So they're getting released on Tuesday and then the bank didn't release on Friday. So when we realized the inconsistency in this and the inconsistency with this employee versus this employee, I reached out to the bank and I was like, what is the drop dead time off? Capital One was 2 days. By Wednesday at 5 o'clock, we knew that was our time. We had to have it submitted for Friday. And I don't know what time it hits my bank. When I look at my online banking, I don't have a time. I don't know if you all have a time. I don't have a time on a deposit. I have a date, not a time. So I have no idea what the time is. So Renaissance Bank said, we went, I'm gonna be honest, we went back and forth and Mr. Ronnie LaForte was our agent. And he told me 5 o'clock on a Thursday. If you release your file after 5 o'clock on a Thursday, it will be for Friday payment. Okay, but I'm not at work at 5 o'clock on a Thursday. So that means I can release the next morning up until noon for same day deposit.
Well, but when,
I've
In
been
the
getting my
morning?
check. I've been getting my check. Like when I wake up in the morning, my check's there.
And that's
It's
the way,
been like
and that's the way
that.
the
I mean,
deposit
that- and I
been.
get paid.
confused. How is it there if you only punch in the go button on Friday morning?
No, they haven't been. pumped to go
This is
back.
the first time I ever got my check at 3:30.
It's
So let me ask this question. With Capital One, you said that everything was submitted by end of day Wednesday.
correct,
Now, when the policy.
but it was released on Friday.
I understand.
Okay.
But whenever it was realized that Renaissance was reacting within 1 day, what made the internal policy change that we won't submit till Thursday end of day?
Because they were getting prior to the pay date.
Is that against the law?
Well, it's not payday. What is the purpose of a pay date if you're gonna pay it early? The purpose of a pay date is to have, Krista, you get your check early when you get
Yes,
paid at work?
yes, I get my check early every week. Okay, I've been dealing with direct deposit at work for years and years. The system wasn't broke, so why go out the way to make these employees uncomfortable? Look.
I would
I'm
like
finished.
to know
I'm-
what was done
I'm
wrong
finished
because
discussing
they
this. I'm put a
received
motion on
payment.
the floor that payday go in 1 to 2 days prior to payday. And that way we don't have this issue again.
Well, and I want you all to be well aware of that there are circumstances and holidays and 1 to 2 days all the time will not be guaranteed. And then they're gonna say, well, y'all said guaranteed. We can't guarantee
Is
that.
there, is information I received, if you submit the file, when you submit the file, you can have. a
We put an
date,
effective date.
you
No,
Put an
it's
effective date.
irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
And the bank.
That was what I went back and forth with our bank for. What is the purpose of an effective date? If I'm gonna send you a file on a Tuesday and you're gonna release it Wednesday, that makes no sense to me. They had no answer.
So I'll reach back out to the vice president of Renaissance in our area, and I'll pose that question to her.
Ron, that will not
It
change.
did
You can
not-
put whatever date you want on there for that payday. When the bank get it, if it's for that Friday, no later than Thursday night at midnight, it's in your account.
They can't even answer. They can't
I'll
even
find
answer
out. I'll
us.
find out.
We submitted both files within 30 seconds of each other Friday morning, and they can't even answer why some employees got paid at 11 and some people got paid at 3:30.
I'll find
They
out.
can't even answer
I'll
that.
find out.
I'm gonna
This-
second Chris's motion
I'll
to
find
have
out.
it, a day to 2 days prior to payday.
All right,
If you punch it on the Thursday.
Personnel manual states that all employees get paid on the Friday, so-
They should have it Friday, but I can't tell you what time. I can't tell you 12:01. So they might still have the same issue. They're gonna wake up Friday morning and say it's not here yet. I can't control the time.
If it's Thursday, you gonna get it
If
Friday.
they get it at 2 o'clock.
But if you
on
get it,
Friday,
if you do it Friday, you gonna get it Friday evening.
But you're still getting it Friday. You're still getting it payday. I just don't get it.
motion by Mr. Carter.
Second.
Payroll goes in 1 to 2 days prior to payday.
Yes.
Second by Mr. Ponville. All in favor? Any nays?
Just for note, I make no guarantee that that can happen on 1 or 2 days, so they're gonna still be flexible, because it will not be a guarantee each time.
Guess what? At the end of the day, if you gotta work overtime to guarantee to get it in, get it in.
I disagree, but
Well,
You
you
made
can
the
disagree,
motion.
but that would need to
It's
happen.
not your choice, Kim. I mean, if that's what needs to happen. it needs
it's
to
not
happen.
about whether I want to, it's about whether it can. That's the part I can't get y'all to
Why
understand
it
sometimes.
can't?
Hey, the
2
motion
days
been passed
early.
on the floor, let's move on.
That's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr.
Second.
Carter, second by Mr. Palmville. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Meeting adjourned.
Going to start the Road and Bridge Committee, meeting, let the record reflect that all members are present. One item on the agenda, update 2025 road overlay program. Mr. Sawa? The road program.
They were progressing in Ward 2, and 4. And then they pulled out, in anticipation of the storm because the asphalt plants were shutting down, but they are on schedule to be back in the parish again Monday. And hopefully we can get back to work and roll this thing out. We're getting close, but, it's just, we've had a lot of hiccups with the weather.
Any update on the plans being updated for Bruley Moran and for
I did have a discussion.
Bayou Drive?
Yes, I did have a discussion with the contractor, actually beginning of this week, and some end of last week regarding those. We're going over a couple of, little things that we have as far as Bruley Moran and the, location of that water line that I had previously mentioned. So we're trying to work that out. Once we get those utility things worked out, we should be able to issue you, I'll be issuing you plans to review first, and then we'll issue them to the contractor if we're all on the same page.
Okay, at the last meeting, you mentioned, the right-of-way access to the landowners, that you were working on that. Is that still in the works or?
It is still in the works. I know, we have the widths. I do need to contact, I still have some contact to make to see how far. I know we've talked to the farmer as far as backing up from Bruley Moran, and everyone was in verbal agreement. I've got to get them to put that in writing, so that we're secure there.
Those of you gotta do another one call since you're gonna be moving that water line or?
Yeah, we,
Gotta do another one call.
No, yes, but we handle all of that. We've been doing regular one calls at any site where we have excavation to do. We do them preliminarily with the design work. And then, of course, the contractor has to do them again once he mobilizes to the site. But once we turn it over to the contractor, he's responsible for maintaining those one calls I believe it's a 10-day turnaround now on them.
Try to get, within the next 2 weeks, try to get all your, right-of-way forms completed and signed from the landowner, so we can get that out of the way.
Yeah, I think, luckily, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're only dealing with one landowner there, so I just gotta nail them down to a date where we can kind of all get them in the same room and everybody sign. But we'll see if we can't get that isolated and done before the next meeting, and then that way we can move forward comfortably.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Motion by Myron. Second by Jamie, all in favor, all opposed. Meeting adjourned.
McConnell Finance Committee meeting order, record reflect all members are present. First item, request approval to pay list of bills submitted through July 17, 2026. Your review.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Carter, second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor? Opposed, that carries. Request approval of the budget comparison statement for June 2026.
The reports are in your packet. There are no recommendations.
So moved.
Motion accepted by Mr. Carter, second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Request approval of the Chamber of Commerce second quarter report and authorized payment. Chamber? Wake up.
Are y'all going to sleep back there?
Who's daydreaming?
Good evening, my name is Cassie Boudreau.
I'm Thomas Lanu, no problem next week.
Why is it?
Thank you for the opportunity to present our report for the second quarter 2026 payment. On April 21st, the Assumption Parish, Assumption Area Chamber of Commerce was contacted by Hyundai POSCO Louisiana Steel to coordinate an Assumption Parish stakeholders meeting. The meeting was hosted by No Problem Raceway with approximately 32 attendees and was well received. We are excited to have the connection with Hyundai and hope to have future meetings with them. During the month of May, we did graduate spotlights on our Facebook page. for high school seniors that live in Assumption Parish. This was extremely popular every year, and we will continue to, this project annually. The chamber participated in the Assumption Parish Ready Start Network's Early Childhood Day on June 23rd. The CoLab Regional Partners Alignment Meeting on May 6th was a sponsor for Fletcher's 75th Diamond Jubilee on July 6th, and volunteered our story time at the Napoleonville Library on July 15th. We continue to be active in the Assumption Parish community. We will be participating in several back-to-school events, giving out school supplies, as well as the faculty back-to-school event in August.
We'll also be having a back-to-school fundraiser this Saturday at No Problem Raceway, where we'll be collecting school supplies to give to the schools in the area.
The entry fee is gonna be school
school-
supplies
Or
or
$10. And if you don't bring school supplies, the money collected, a portion of that goes to purchasing school supplies for those.
Real Jeep thing?
Yeah.
Yes, it's called Come Topless, cause some of the tops come off on the Jeep. It's, something to bring the community together, the families, the kids. We'll also have Billy Richard with his big trucks doing monster truck tug of war, something different for the community. So we invite any and everybody to come out Saturday night at 5 p.m. Yes, sir, at the racetrack.
Don't they have the back to school thing
That's in the morning.
this weekend?
Yeah.
So they have a big.
Yeah,
In the
event.
morning.
We're also,
Y'all
yeah,
gonna go over
we're,
there and y'all can probably give out
Yeah.
some cards and let people know, hey, come over here at 5.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah, that's one of the ones that we're involved in.
Should have
It's
pretty
the one
well,
this
too.
weekend, plus that one. And then, for the faculty back-to-school event too, in August. Also, we are collaborating with White Core Marketing to put together some type of Assumption tourism flyer brochure focused on a live and play lifestyle, highlighting local attractions, recreational opportunities, festivals, and community events. This will be an extensive task, but we're hoping for good results. We will be advertising for photographers to capture some of the amazing scenery in the parish for photo credits on this project. We have distributed our quarterly newsletter for the period of July through September. In each newsletter, we offer both the police jury president and the school board superintendent the opportunity to submit updates to be included. We have copies for you in case you haven't reviewed it in your email. I don't have copies.
No, we can email it out to
Hopefully
you.
I'll received it in your email, or we can get them to you if you need it. Our newsletter also lists community events, job opportunities, state happenings, and an opportunity for a business to be the sponsor for a $25 fee. We have one new business that has joined the chamber, Love Petites Ami Early Learning Center. We continue to look for new potential members to join the chamber. Do any of you have any questions or comments?
Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate y'all.
motion to
Let
approve
them
the
know about the
second.
summer social on the 7th, August 7th.
Okay. Shouldn't repeat that. The summer social is gonna be at the 7th, on the 7th, and it's gonna be at the racetrack. If any of you, you should have all received your invites and everything. Make sure you turn that in so we can get you included.
Motion to approve the second quarterly report.
Motion by Mr. Alcorn,
Second.
second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor? Opposed,
you.
motion carries. Thank
Thank
y'all,
y'all.
keep up the great work.
Appreciate it.
First approve and authorize president to sign contract with additional outside counsel.
This was the contract that we approved last week. Mr. Calabro, did you have a chance to take a look at it? We do have the contract in hand. I need authorization for president.
Motion by Mr. Diaz, second by Mr. Carter, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Diaz, second by Mr. Carter, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
All right. It is 4:59. We'll get the engineering grants committee meeting started. Let the record reflect all members are present. First item, update from GIS engineering.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, we all.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Jacob Lusky, GIS Engineering. Update on, 4 projects as listed in the agenda. Jolimar Street, currently, we did send the permit application. We did send the jury's letter that was sent to us to help try to expedite. And as of yesterday, it's still not showing in their sunrise of their program that it has not even been listed yet to an agent inside of the Corps to review the application. So we're still pushing, we're still working, they're backed up. So we're gonna continue to monitor, continue to push, but we're not getting anywhere just yet, so. Continue to wait on that, environmental permit response by the Corps. Belrose Lane, waiting on, Joseph?
Real quick, just briefly. We sent an amendment, we sent a proposed amendment to the jury late this afternoon. I had discussions with Mr. Blanchard regarding the fees. I realize that there won't be any action probably tonight, but please review that and then we can discuss them if need be for the next meeting.
I'm pretty sure GIS is handling, construction admin and inspection, so I don't think there should be anything on your cost estimate for that. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
once you get, notice to
Once you
proceed,
get- Yeah, y'all taking,
then we'll take it over and do the, Davis-Bacon wage rate. I'll take care of that part.
Okay, but I didn't realize that they're handling both the construction
I don't
inspections.
think we're doing inspection.
Okay, that's why I had reduced it to only 2,000, because I know there's gonna be
Yeah,
some
we don't.
periodic inspection and meetings to attend as well.
if it's just inspection, just adjust your line item to reflect that then. Okay.
Thank you, Joseph. Constant Canal update, we have, that hasn't changed, we still have submitted the 90s back in March. Permit, we tracking that one as well, and lastly, we did send, ELOS, they were doing the environmental and land services, we sent them shape files with some of the, boundaries, but we made it known that we're not doing a boundary survey. It's just, they have to go out there and do that part of it. So right now, we're basically waiting again on permit. Bayou St. Vincent, 30% has been done. There's been correspondence back and forth on the H&H study. As of July 6th, we got the H&H report back. And we believe, so it just went back and forth on who's stamping it. And this H&H is the basis of our design. So it tells us the depth, the width, and so forth of the channel at those locations of crossings. So they're gonna, Arcadis is taking how's the best way to say that, Dan? They're not gonna stamp with the engineer stamp, but they're gonna put, saying that they're owning the model, the H&H report. So when we do get that back, we'll proceed into 60% and then, move forward from there and then start putting together the permit along with the 60s to get it to the Corps.
Yeah, I'll kind of elaborate on it. So Arcadis, OCD took the ownership to do the H&H on this project in the original, when it was all being set up. That was something that OCD was gonna pay for, not run through the parish. It's been a long run, gotten to the point where they're at the finish line on that H&H. There was a question of if they were gonna stamp their final report. It sounds like OCD is not requiring Arcadis to stamp their final report. They're adding a statement into their report that says, as the engineer of record, we take ownership for this report. So, my understanding is that that report can be submitted to OCD. OCD will accept it through their grant program. And then GIS engineering, as the engineer of record on the design plans, would, accept that as the H&H design. And we would also, by stamping the plans, make sure that we're comfortable with everything from an H&H perspective. So it was a little confusing, the process. It sounds like we have a path forward and we're moving forward. The H&H is gonna be submitted with a full application to OCD. We're gonna move forward with 60% plans. probably more than you needed, but it's kind of getting in the weeds there.
And so, any questions?
Is, once it's submitted for permitting through the Corps, will they require the H&H model, the report to be stamped?
There is a chance that they ask for the H&H report and request a stamp. That's a potential. They could come in.
With Conscient, we're still waiting on them to approve it, so that, we would know, I assume that we would know of Conscient prior to Playa St. Vincent. Same process, same ownership, same everything,
Maybe dealing with two different people though.
maybe two different reviewers.
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't, I mean, I've communicated this through email with y'all, but just for the benefit of the jury. I don't understand how Arcadis gets the benefit of being paid to do an engineering report and be relieved from having to stamp it and being liable for the results of their report. Even though they say they stand behind it without the stamp and the engineer, the professional engineer that's standing behind it. As a company, they can't just say, well, we're good with this product. They need an engineer to stand behind that product.
Yeah, I'm surprised at the process that's going through OCD and that them allowing that. It's the hand we're dealt at this point, so we're moving forward with, if the Corps comes back and requests a stamped H&H report, then we can provide them what Arcadis has done with the clause in there, and if they request further, we're gonna have to go down that path.
It's gonna set you all the way back.
Hopefully not.
We're gonna keep, so once OCD approves, the full application and this H&H report is submitted in the IGX system, we're moving forward with 60%. We're gonna shoot to have 60% done, 60% plans done in the next month or two, and move forward submitting that permit. So, we're full speed ahead. If that's asked on the permit side, that it potentially could open a door. We'll get to that point. I've reached around a little bit with OCD to kind of see if this is a typical thing, and it sounds like it is with a lot of the projects. It's not just Assumption Parish. It's a standard thing OCD is doing, which is surprising to me.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Update from the Planners Design Group.
Good afternoon, jurors. James Viggory with DDG. We have been working on our 60% set for Gary Street. And I have put together a conservative cost estimate because we're still waiting on some other pricing efforts.
Sorry.
I'll make a permit for Beverly.
So this cost estimate, 60%. All of the items under the pump discharge and fuel system section are very preliminary. Joseph actually sent me a text with some pricing on the pumps on my way here. So I wasn't far off. For the electrical pump, we're also gonna look at what the pricing for diesel would be. The site work, we still have some work to do there on quantities and things like that, but overall, I feel like the construction subtotal is probably closer, and I got the contingencies as a little bit of, since we're still working through some design.
So it's only for one pumping station?
This is one pump station with the sump with two electrical pumps.
That's all y'all money, man. God, damn. I ain't gonna be able to do nothing,
The river pump gotta come up first.
man.
That's a lot cheaper. The river pump should be first on the agenda.
That's it.
But no.
One pump, one leg.
I need a present with a cost to put that pump up that road.
So for the permit, our environmental team has recommended that we do not modify the permit that we have. Because if we do that, we open a can of worms that would let the reviewers go review all 14 sites again. Rather, we would submit one new permit for the new Verta location. Or not Verta location anymore, it would be the updated Bell River location.
Oh, y'all taking some money away from our big town.
Man, y'all went from 15, went from a ring levy system to 15, down to 7, and you'll have one, barely be able to get one done.
No,
Oh my
no.
God.
This number is preliminary,
Oh my,
we're gonna,
no, yeah, it's preliminary, but it's factual.
Yeah.
You ain't just put numbers to put numbers, bro.
No.
That's a shame before God.
Joseph, can you work on that permit for me?
Well, that's a
For,
shame.
I'll get with my environmental team on that. Get you an update on
That's
that.
all I'm working at. This is stupid.
That's a shame. Boy. Well, what y'all gonna do?
Yeah, I need that pump in Bear River before we spend any money there, for sure. So,
Well, I guess, Myron, if you're gonna say that, I think I need my Ward 7 pump before you have it. I mean, it's, the entire thing, and you were sitting in those meetings, is that we were gonna price one pumping
well, you got
station.
a private guy there, the price will come up too.
All right, but this doesn't mean it's final and the end all. You're making absolutes that we gotta do this station first or that station without even looking at it. We approved a few tens of thousands of dollars improvements over there in the subdivision that haven't been done yet. We don't know if that's gonna work or not.
I know it's gonna work, but putting a pump in the front is gonna work.
Martin, if you'd have took care of your problem years ago, we
No,
wouldn't be going through it.
All right, when do you think we'll be, where we have some more certainty with this?
So our permit is gonna be submitted this week to DOTD with these drawings that I'll be sending to y'all later today. And I have 30 days for review for them. I guess the main thing that I'm curious about if they require the guardrail, which I feel like they might, I don't.
Well, so Jamie, is this still at Gary Street or is it at the?
Gary Street.
This is Gary Street.
So, but if we purchase the property,
We could go further back. You know,
right, I don't
Okay,
we don't need
understand.
it, and I don't think we need a guardrail. There's no other guardrail nowhere else. I mean,
Yeah, no, that we're submitting our plans with no guardrail and.
How many houses going into water there? In the houses?
You.
In the houses? Only their carports? Yeah, right.
so you
Yeah,
should have
because
took
you're
care
on
of
the
your
board,
problem 20 years ago.
drainage district.
When I send the plans, y'all will see where it is within the 75-foot right of way off the center of the highway. So if y'all want us to move it back, we would just have to extend that culvert off the cross culvert from beneath the highway.
No.
I think once you submit us the plans, we can review it, look at the estimate and see which way we decide that we go.
Okay,
I
and
don't
that,
think
yeah,
we can
this,
take any action tonight based on just the estimate.
right, I agree. Anything else?
Y'all go work on these prices.
So on the pumps, I know we had talked about having a single electric pump with a generator backup rather than having two pumps.
So I've got one electric and then I got a fuel tank for a diesel. So I think if we go diesel pump, I think that pump number would come down. But then we would still have the fuel tank.
What I'm saying is, we discussed only having a single electric pump that had a diesel generator backup,
Okay,
so that we wouldn't have two pumps in the hole. Wouldn't need two full pumping assemblies. It'd just be one pump with a diesel backup, and one generator to power this motor should not be. I mean, I remember we talked about a preliminary price, we didn't really have a good number then, but I thought it was around 20,000.
for the pump?
No, for a backup generator.
Okay, yeah,
So you may need a fuel tank for that generator, but to eliminate a separate pump.
okay. Will we want a bigger pump for the flow of the?
Brian,
culvert?
you have any suggestions on that? I know you were part of that conversation with us.
Well, I initially recommended 12-inch pumps across the board, but they were gonna size of the reservoir to accommodate the size of the pump.
I'm talking about one pump versus two pumps.
Well, obviously, two pumps are way better than one, because you have a redundancy system. But if we do put one pump, and we put the generator, fuel tanks, you can get them for about $2,500. But we talked about putting a switch panel. Yes, it would work if we put a switch panel there, emergency, if the power goes out, it automatically kicks on, just like a household generator. It would be functional. But it has to be at least 12-inch, so 5,500 gallons or better a minute.
That's the size that we're looking at currently.
That's what I thought.
Joseph gave me a price for 7,000 or 12-inch. So that was the number that,
What we were looking at is a 12-inch, 7,000 GPM. And the reason we had two there is the max flow rate through the pipes at Gary Street is about 15,000 GPM at full flow. So, knowing that's a stretch, to pull that full flow continuously, you want to, the ideal situation is to split it into two pumps, because then you have a staged, it also gives you a staged capacity of flow going out as well. Because you don't want to put too large of a pump and then all of a sudden starts short cycling your sump pit either.
So let me ask you a question. Was it just calculated on Gary Street, or do we calculate the three extra additional 12-inch that come from Texaco? Because there are three additional 12-inch pipes that come in from Texaco Street that have a catch basin in the front road. They go diagonal and they come into the Gary Street catch basin and go across the road.
Right, but this is the full flow that would come into, we calculated the full flow coming into the sump.
So what I'm asking, is that just from Gary Street?
it's the culvert beneath Highway 70 that's getting
I
from
understand,
those catch
I understand
basins we're
what you're
talking
saying.
about to the sump.
It's the full flow through
Okay.
those pipes.
All right.
I'd like to stay with two pumps for sure, in this location.
It would be a concern of mine if we go with a single pump, that you may run into a situation where you could end up short cycling the pump, because you're having to pull so much at one time as opposed to staging it with two, in a lower flow situation. In other words, not a situation where obviously you've got a major storm out there and you've got a ton of water coming, but once you go into storm mode, you're gonna be closing the free flow gate and relying strictly on that pump. So even when you have a low flow situation, you gotta pump it out. If it's a large pump and it sucks that sump dry, it's gonna short cycle. It's gonna wanna kick off, which puts wear on your motors, wear on your batteries. We burn up battery cable doing that. So we're trying to design the system for all scenarios. And obviously, a two pump system would be better, but I understand the rationale by wanting a single pump and going with the generator.
Well, my whole premise of it is yes, two pumps in one location is better for that location, but one pump in two locations satisfies both locations. And if the budget says we can only put one pump at each spot,
Understood,
where we're at.
understood, but we're trying to get you to a scenario where we can move
so
forward.
is there a way that, maybe with DDG, we could have a meeting, first week of August with the three jurors in that area and make sure that we're still on point as to what was required? I know there was some discussion, and for the Ward 7 pump to be a temporary pump, set up as a temporary pump, so I don't know that, does it really make sense for us to wait for this full cost estimate for that location to decide how many more we can do? We're not even looking at that kind of pumping station there. So I just want to make sure that we know how we're going at each of those locations and what will be required there to see. We know what budget we have, and now that we have some numbers, maybe in a couple of weeks, we can look at it and try to kind of zone it in so that whenever you get to 90%, we have some better numbers.
Yep, I'll get that on, I guess,
The pumping bill was already bought, it's in the shed, I saw it in the platform. It's already bought. And the storage. Bill, you can get me a permit for that, I know you can.
And look, we can talk to them about that next week. It might be better to have a separate permit for that one, and you pay for it some other way to put it in, than having to have what I'll call inflated prices to put a
Don't take it out
platform.
all this, don't take it out of, no. All the money can't go to one pocket, Bill.
We'll talk about it first
All that money
meeting in
can't go to
August.
one pocket.
Send us some possible dates that we can
Okay.
meet and we'll circulate that. Update from Infinity Engineering on Parish-wide sewer plant improvement project.
Item number
Skip
2.
one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Request approval for president to sign the agreement to purchase and sell immovable property.
Is this necessary if we can't do any pump station?
Yeah, well,
Which one is this on?
What is it?
No, this is for the Gary Street pump station.
That's for the Tom Play property.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That's
That's
the
it.
Okay, I didn't know the street, but that's the Tom Play property. It's a Highway 7.
we're not being able to do that job.
That's what I was asking. I don't know.
We ain't gonna buy property, we don't have to force to do a project.
We definitely can get the pump station there in that location.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion on the floor with Mr. Ponville? Is there a second? Judge, you do realize we have like $2 million for this budget and we just got an
Second.
estimate for
I mean,
748. It's not like we
you got a
can't
second
do.
on this, are y'all
Second.
serious?
Second.
Second by Mr. Diaz. All in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, update from Infinity Engineering on the parish-wide sewer plant improvement project.
Good evening. Construction is nearing completion. All the sites are operational except for Georgette. Blackwell Lane, they recently completed installing the perimeter fencing. They still need to place the gantry winch and roof electrical for the electrical rack. Grisafi Lane, they recently installed the perimeter fencing. However, a new gate is required since the existing gate was damaged during construction. Violet Street, they installed the footing for the gantry and gantry structure. Repaired a few concrete defects in the containment area. Installed concrete cleanout cover, sewer cleanout cover. Belrose Lane, recently completed installing perimeter fencing. Belrose Lane Lift Station recently completed perimeter fencing and placed limestone for access driveway. Georgette Street Wastewater Treatment Plant, they recently completed installing the perimeter fencing, board footing for the gantry system. Update on change order number 1 request. After the last jury meeting, the parish manager went to the treatment plant and confirmed the voltage on site at the Georgette site to be 240 volt 3-phase, and the current pumps at the treatment plant are rated 240 3-phase as well. In response to the confirmed items, Infinity has marked the electrical one-line diagram to reflect the required electrical modifications. Once the parish agrees with the recommendation, I will inform the contractor to revise change order 1 to align with the recommendation. So essentially, the pumps that they requested are no longer needed. There's a modification to the existing control panel and some associated items to balance the system. And that's it.
Yeah, a whole bunch of confusion. The engineering firm with their plans having the wrong pumps on the diagram, but sounded like everything was in order. Sounded like it was something on a contractor, from what I'm hearing.
Partly, the confusion arose from the RFI, and inside of the existing panel, someone marked 208. So that may have led the contractor to believe that there was 208 voltage on the site. However, in addition to that, the one-line electrical diagram calls out 240 single phase, similar to other locations. That error, that one phase error, is another source of confusion. So the recommendation is to bring the entire site to a 3-phase system.
And the one phase error that you're talking about, that was on the part of the jury?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, just
The
making
parish
sure.
provided the documents during the design phase indicating that the site is three-phase and not single-phase.
Well, that's good. So we shouldn't be responsible for those costs.
Correct.
Correct.
We lost.
Hmm?
We lost.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, any other questions for Infinity?
I have a question. Mr. Haydell, have y'all started the Davis-Bacon verifications?
Yes, I've been talking with Valerie, or discussing with Valerie, and apparently there's a few infractions from Talbot's subcontractors that have to be cleared up at this time. She's recommended that I have a current pay application that I'm reviewing for them now. She's requested that, recommended that I postpone or hold off on approving until they align with the Davis-Bacon requirements.
Okay, just wondering, because no invoices are reflecting that work, and we do need to get that done.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
So
you.
as far as they're on schedule, with contract days, we're still in order there?
I believe we are.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Updated on my rate drainage project?
The outfall canal is finished clearing. Right now, the engines and, pump equipment have all been ordered. We're waiting on delivery on that before they can really start dismantling anything. We've got all of submittals approved at this time for the ordering of the prefab gate and as well as the forest screen that comes across. Right now, the contractor has submitted a alternative submittal for the the solar panel charging system. We're reviewing that right now. Actually, we are gonna try to set a meeting with Mr. Bryan next week to go over and see if there's any of these changes that they would want to entertain and see what cost savings that might generate. But the project is progressing as it stands right now. We're really waiting on equipment to arrive before we can start.
Did they give you any timeline on equipment arrival? You know?
They have not yet. I'm waiting on the manufacturer to actually give us a hard date on that. Because we did turn the submittals around to them, so they were not able to give me a hard date on when they actually submitted the order. I know they submitted the order, but they haven't, I don't know the exact date that they sent that into the manufacturer, so we're waiting for that date to come back so they can tell us what the delivery time on those engines and all would be. I don't want them dismantling anything that, you know, obviously with rains and storms and stuff, we want to keep as much intact until everything is on site.
How about the canals? Are they clean?
They
Is the
cleaned the outfall canal has been cleaned. They did a very good job.
Reported back to the lake from Supreme.
That hasn't
That
been
has
touched.
been condemned for years. That's the problem.
Understood, but that hasn't been touched yet on this particular. The canal they needed, the outfall canal that they needed to be cleaned has been completed.
That's the main drainage that's gotta go to Lake Loretta.
Understood.
And that's been, cut off when Supreme stopped grinding.
Yes,
That's
sir.
how long.
All right. Any other questions on the my rate drainage project?
How about going from Oakley up?
I'll look into it.
Yeah,
I'll
you
look
should
into it
have
and get
one.
with you.
If you can.
Yes, sir. I'll look into it and get with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Update from the grants coordinator?
A few items, does request approval to appoint the president as the authorized signatory for all of the CDBG DRP grants.
Take one at a time.
Move.
Yeah.
What do you?
Need a second.
Right, Mike.
Motion by Mr. Diaz to approve and appoint the president as the authorized signatory on CDBG Disaster Recovery Program grants. Second by Mr. Bro, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. next item.
Request approval and authorize for the president to sign an appointment of labor compliance officer
You
form.
missed one.
You missed one.
This, the second one, I entertain a
Request
motion
approval for
to,
the secretary treasurer and the OHSEP director to sign invoices for, and all draws for the CDBG DRP grants.
the motion?
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Nakam,
Second.
second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval and authorize for the president to sign an appointment of labor compliance officer form designating Doreen Rivera as the labor compliance officer for the RCIP grant.
So move. Motion by Mr. Pondville, second by Mr. Bro. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval and authorize to adopt the required CDBG DR program policies, acknowledges the CDBR DR program funds be administered in accordance with OCD grantee administrative manual, appoint various coordinators/officers, authorize individuals to execute the request for payment, and authorize execution of documents, and need authorization for certain actions and individuals to perform certain designated functions required by the state.
Motion by Mr. Diaz. Second by Mr. Nakam. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval and authorize the president to sign the Recreation Trails Program Letter of Commitment Agreement for the Gilbert Dupaty Walking Trail Project.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bro.
Second.
Second by Mr. Diaz. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Request approval and authorize the president to sign the maintenance agreement for the Gilbert Dupaty Park Walking Trail Project.
You made a motion? Motion by Mr. Mathern. Second by Mr. Nakam. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
And request approval and authorization to accept Column Title LLC as the lowest quote for the abstract title opinion and legal fees for the purchase of the Highway 70 property for the ring levy project, and authorization for the president to sign the contract.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Pondville. Second by Mr. Bro. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
And I did update, the management report for you guys.
On this one, we take the DRA CDAP.
Yeah.
First, did Mr. Francis contact you regarding that one? I spoke to him yesterday and he was supposed to call you to talk to you a little bit more about the, I sent him the email that you sent with the requirements. And he was gonna call you to get some clarification on what projects they may be able to submit for that. But they were interested in submitting a project for that. Now, for the, ARPA, I was contacted by them today. They have an engineer that they've contacted to give them an estimate on that project that we had discussed with the improving the flow down, Highway 403 and 402. So the jury hasn't officially allocated any money towards that project. I told them about the range of what they had to get done with by the end of the calendar year. So I guess it'll be up to the jury if we want to, allocate money toward that project so that they can move forward with it.
Yeah.
All right, so motion by Mr. Diaz. So, currently, the number I've been talking to him about is just 400,000. I know we have 428, 321.50 unobligated in that. What number do you want? 400? The 400?
Yeah.
All right. Motion by Mr. Diaz to allocate 400,000 of the ARPA funds to the waterworks for a water infrastructure project.
Second.
I'm sorry, who's the second? Second from Mr. Mathern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any other questions about any of the other projects, with the grant manager?
I don't have anything, just about every project I've at least touched base with in the last month. And gotten updates, gotten the ball rolling on some of the other ones. I have one that I was waiting on an email back. The LA Highway 403 sidewalks. I emailed Jacob with DOTD, I'm waiting on an update for that.
You check and see when that LWI money gonna be coming down. Should be coming soon.
I sent you an email?
No, not on that one. That's line item appropriation money.
And which one you asking about? I'm sorry.
Just see when it's gonna be coming down the pipe.
Okay.
From the legislative session, 2026.
All right, no other questions? We'll move on to the next item. Update on the Ag Center roof project.
Yeah, it's being currently advertised for bids online. Bid date is August 13th.
Any, action items on the concession stand in the last couple of weeks?
Anything on the concession, anything?
Right now, they're in their 45-day lean period,
What
and
about the fire marshal with the bathroom?
I have not heard from him. However, he told me he was not going to contact us. He was just gonna go do his inspection, so I will reach out to him again. I've tried through the online system. They have us set where they're basically controlling. If we have a request in there, and I did speak with him, he's aware of the request and he's putting it on the schedule. However, he did not indicate when he would be going. I will reach out to him and see if we can't get some urgency behind it, because I know we have some events that are coming up.
After he's gone, we gotta unlock it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm aware. If I had a date to give you, I would.
If you hear back from them in the next week or so, can you email an update? We got 3
Absolutely.
weeks till our next meeting.
Absolutely. I'll send out an email to all of them.
It just seems like, once you submit the request for that inspection, it shouldn't be on,
Shouldn't take that long.
no, it shouldn't take that
No,
long.
I'm not sure, I'm not really sure what the holdup was. When we submitted the request, I can tell you this much, we were around that 4th of July, they were dealing with a lot of inspections as far as the fireworks stands and stuff. I'm hoping now that that's kind of gone away, that we've gotten back on their radar again. But I will reach out to him again.
Update on the health unit repairs?
So I attended a meeting with, GFP, we discussed the health unit and some other things. There may be a change to our schedule. I provided you guys with, some things on, they want to do an environmental study. And I said, well, if we have to do it on the courthouse anyway. They want to do it on both DA's office and the health unit. I provide y'all with a cost estimate for it.
Brian, is there a reason why they want to do it on buildings recently built in the 80s?
Well,
Versus the
86, I think, is the
1800s.
dead.
Well, I know, but versus the 1800s, it makes a big difference.
I'm not for doing the health. Well, I mean,
What's the reason?
so the health unit shows,
I mean, of course, they gonna say it, but that's not within our scope.
I'm telling you, they're requesting it because it was stated that there's possibly asbestos tile and master's glue that's below the tile, which needs to be tested. According to them.
As long as you don't disturb it.
It's already disturbed because the tile came up when the water intrusion went in, so it's removed and displaced.
And the DA's office?
The DA's office, they wanna check the windows and because they're gonna be removing it.
Well, hold on, let's back up to the parish health unit.
Right.
If they want to check the floor,
In
why are
3
you
rooms.
looking at the drywall, the ceiling, the windows, the doors? Are we only supposed to be taking 5 samples?
Okay,
Why-
I'll revisit that
why
one.
24.
It's a metal building, you know.
It's the floors, it's not.
Just question with the age of that
I
building, if
understand.
it really needs to be, checked for asbestos. That just doesn't make sense.
So what's the timeline for all of this?
Well, I brought it here to get approved, then they would tell me what the timeline was.
So if we don't do this on the health unit, what's the timeline still on the health unit?
I just told you, they asked for this and the schedule may change if this is approved or not approved. So I'll have to reach out to them tomorrow and then get an updated schedule, but I don't know what the effects are gonna be if you don't approve it, so. I'll have to find out.
Take 5 steps and get knocked down 10, huh?
It says recommendations within 10 days of completion of the field sample report, according to this on the list that you have. And I spoke to Melissa, and if it was approved, it would come out of our original funding.
So if we don't approve it, will they still wanna go and do the work since? Because they're saying, hey, there could be asbestos and we're not gonna go ahead and wanna pursue this contract or this
They don't
work.
have they should have our plans in already for this, right?
They had the plans. They gave us a timeline and then realized when they were creating them, that there was a possibility that the floors had asbestos due to the age of the building and the removed tile already.
So they don't have the plans in them.
Yeah, they had a schedule. You were provided, well, you wasn't here, but everybody was provided that last meeting. But the timeline's gonna change depending on this.
How long has this building been up?
It's the hurricane.
Yes, that's right.
2 years. In the, all the work that's been done in the courthouse, there's never been an environmental assessment? Do we have to test the same thing again to get the same result?
Paul has to have environmental assessment on the top half. We have to have an environmental assessment on the bottom half. Because of his is a federal grant, they didn't wanna mix the two, so we have to do one additionally for ourselves.
So we didn't,
That's not insane. It's the same damn building.
We tried,
We asked the company, the
different
same
We
company
tried.
to just pull and they refused.
yes.
Why not? When you can bill us again?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, is there a motion on the approval of the environmental report? Motion by Mr. Nakam. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Pondville.
Gonna get done.
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed?
nay,
Motion carried. Update on the courthouse renovations project?
Okay, I'll start with my section. We had a meeting with the, architect today, me and Ms. Doreen. We moving along, our engineer, our, environmental study is preliminarily done. She had the final document yet, but she said just about done. They're moving on completing their 30% planning stage. They're moving along and she's gonna come back again with some engineers, take another look at it, but, we've satisfied OCD with our movement, so we're getting ready to start we're in the planning and drawing stages. It's gonna be, she said probably, what you said about next week for the 30% to be complete, when that satisfied OCD, we still keep moving along with the drawing, so,
She should be getting the sampling, results in, but she did say that when they went up, they did have, the only place they found asbestos was in the tower, the bell tower, where that roofing stuff, they just left it there.
yes.
That had asbestos, and all of the paint had lead.
But the lead paint probably can be encapsulated with another paint, so
Right,
it's
she
very
said
good
that there's a-
possibility you won't have to remove the lead paint, so that just the issue, but like you said, that was just a preliminary report she got, she didn't get a final
Right.
report yet in front of her. But other than that, we're moving along with it, they're starting on the, drawing and designs of it.
And they requested a meeting with us.
But the issue, going back to what you talked about, Leroy, was the fact that they wanted to piggyback on her testing of the environmental testing, and she just she's done that before. She didn't want to, she recommended we didn't do that with this federal money. Because, you know, we dealing with federal, his project is parish money, and we didn't want to, she didn't want to get those two funding sources involved with, you know, and maybe, affect our federal funding. That was her advisement to us, and that's what we did.
But she said local money we didn't have to have.
That's correct. We're only doing this to satisfy the federal government. That's y'all, local money could be
We
spent a
don't
lot
need it.
different.
Now, the coordination of the two for the aspect of the time,
Yes.
they, you know, they would meet to try to coordinate it so that so it happens at the same time, so we don't have to keep
Because we close
closing.
the structure, we're trying to coordinate that to where we don't do that
Right.
one time. We will meet on that with the two engineers to try to get that done.
What about the matter you spoke to me about earlier today?
Oh, she had brought up that,
Who's she?
I'm sorry, Lindsay Bell. Bell Butler when she came. She did a scope and sent it, a preliminary scope and sent it. But it had all kind of things that were not covered under the scope from our actual application. Like she had, the communications tower back there or whatever. And that's not anywhere in our scope for our application. I actually pulled the scope from the application that we were approved, and I pulled the scope that she did, and I compared them to make sure that it was that it was stuff that was being covered. So we had her remove that as a priority. We had her reprioritize the list with the stairwell and all first, then the windows. What else was third?
Stairwells, windows, and possibility of tiles on the.
Oh, yeah,
on the
the
field.
tiles.
The only thing is, ours is weatherization, water intrusion. That's the only thing this grants for, so we can't use it for anything that's, you know, we can't mention termites. We can't mention those type of things because it's water, you know, stairwells, windows that are leaking, and tiles that were damaged during the leaking, the roof leaking. So that's primary, to be the primary thing. And if she says if there's any mitigation of asbestos, that's gonna take a big sum of it, so. Till we find out
But
that.
the termites and the water damage aren't completely separate, because if you don't have the water
Yes.
intrusion,
Termites and that.
you're not gonna attract the termites.
And it
So-
did have in the application termite and moisture.
Moisture,
So it
that's what
did
we call
have,
it, with the moisture, that's
yeah.
correct.
it did have that terminology in there.
Yeah, we understand that. It's still gonna be repaired, it's just the terminology we use in the scope of work.
Good catch, Doreen. Good catch. Good catch. Good job.
All right, any other questions on courthouse renovation project? Update on Shell Beach Boat Launch project?
Any update, Aaron, on your part? I saw that email earlier, Brian. Any update on?
Yep, that's separate from hers. We had, the electricians just came, they showed up.
I read the email.
Right. Well, as I spoke earlier in the meeting when they asked me about it, we need a little more coordination. I just didn't get a chance to email Ms. Aaron about it. Because the electrical company stated that they didn't want to put the pole in place without the floors. Well, we didn't want to do the floors before we did the windows, because we would damage it. So there's gonna need some additional coordinations between us. And they also wanted to have a defined map of locations for electrical installations. That's correct, Ms. Aaron, right?
Correct. I requested some more information from the electrician because we need to coordinate that with the furniture
Right.
to make sure that the electrical scope is gonna operate our new cubicles in the new areas, that we
Okay.
have outlets where we need them, et
And
cetera.
then I saw they want to shut down for 8 to 10 hours. Can they do that on the weekend?
Yeah, I can check and see. I mean, I didn't think it was gonna require shutting down for 8 to 10 hours. They never mentioned that till he came.
Yesterday when he came,
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no mention of that previously.
so that's why they ended up just vacating, because we were like, we can't
Yeah.
shut
Can't get
down
shut
without
down.
notice.
Yeah, we'll have to reschedule
See
it
if he can coordinate at night or on a weekend.
on a Saturday or Sunday. there may be some additional cost of it on the whole time, so.
I think the main thing is coordination, making
Yeah.
sure it's coordinated, making sure,
Well,
you know, you still got a day-to-day business going on, operations going on over there, so.
the chain of events that happened to us, and I would hope you could agree, like the windows kind of threw a kink in our
Well,
schedule.
that's been
previously.
going on for a long time.
Yeah,
It's not something that happened overnight, but.
no. But,
Do we get any information from the architect for that?
no, that's what we were just talking about a minute ago. We got another meeting on the 7th to coordinate timelines. And who's gonna make sure we're in sync with each other.
Update on Shell Beach Boat Launch Project?
Yes, notice of award was issued to the contractor. We drafted the contracts, delivered them to him. He is in the process of attaching all of his bonds and the necessary documents. Once we receive those back, we will submit them for legal review and we should be, proceed forward.
Request approval of substantial completion for the project known as Gilbert to Paddock Park improvements and authorize the president, secretary, treasurer to sign all documentation.
We did a final inspection last week. We have a punch list attached to the substantial completion documents, and we do recommend that we move forward with that.
Motion.
Recommended.
Second. Motion by Mr. Mathern, second by Mr. Bro. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval and authorization for the president to sign an amended IGA with CPRA for the Amelia project to reflect a revised scope and available funding in the amount of $2 million, with the plan to further amend the agreement with an additional $1 million becomes available to CPRA. There a motion?
You got a motion?
Motion by Mr. Pineville, second by Mr. Diaz.
I better make the motion. You better.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval for a 1.5 foot hardship variance on south side property line at 203 Caden Street, Pierport.
Go ahead.
Residents requested a variance, if neighbors okay with it, a 1.5 foot on Cajun Street, so you could build a shed right there.
Not close to the road.
Not close to the road, close to the neighbor's property.
There's a metal building or something.
It's that like that, you know,
Right.
in that curve on Cajun Street. But there's nothing on the left side.
And the neighbors all right with it?
Yeah, the neighbor's fine with it.
Motion to-
778, yes.
Motion to approve the variance by Mr. Pineville, second by Mr. Mathern. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Motion adjourned by Mr. Diaz, second by Mr. Pineville. All in favor? Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Everybody will call the regular meeting of Central Parish Police Jury Wednesday, July 26th, 2026 to order, record reflect. All jurors are present. We start off with a prayer. God who teaches us by sending the light of the Holy Spirit to our hearts, grant that by the light of that Spirit, right judgment may be ours, and that we may ever find joy in his guidance. Amen. Amen. Let's pray, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Fourth item, accept any corrections and approve of minutes of the July 8th, 2026 regular meeting.
Motion to accept.
Motion by Mr. Alcorn. Second by Mr. Blanchard, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Public comment period for any items on the agenda. First call, second call, last call. Record reflect no public comment. Drainage Committee report, Mr. Quanville.
Yes, sir. The Drainage Committee meeting was held this afternoon, 4:15. All members were present. We had 2 items on the agenda and both items were tabled. I present this in form of a motion.
Motion by the chair. Second by Mr. Brewer, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item, Personnel Committee report, Mr. Diaz.
Personnel Committee met at 4:15. All members are present. Item 1, we approve the proposed changes to the personnel manual as noted. We approved to end the probationary period for accountant effective 7/3/1/26. We approved to end probationary period for grants coordinator effective 8/1/26. We approved to terminate an outside APCC event worker due to lack of availability. Item 5, we approved to have payroll turned into the bank 1 to 2 days prior to payday. I present this all in the form of a motion.
That's a motion by the chair. Second by Mr. Brewer, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Mr. President, I have a clarification I'd like to make sure of on that. For the items in the personnel manual, the contracts that would be executed by both parties for public works projects in excess of 5,000. Is the parish manager authorized to sign those contracts or?
Anything under 30,000.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were good. Okay, thank you.
Road and Bridge.
Road and Bridge, met this afternoon. All members were present. One item on the agenda, we got a brief update on the 2025 road overlay program. The contractor, due to the weather, will be mobilizing back into the parish on Monday. I'll give you that small report and a form of a motion.
Motion by the chair, second by Mr. Federer, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Finance Committee report, all members was present. First item, request approval to pay bills submitted through July 17th, 2026. Next one was approved the budget comparison statements for June 2026. We approved the Chamber of Commerce second quarter report and authorized payment. And we approved and authorized president to sign contract with additional outside counsel. That's my report.
Motion to accept the report.
Report by Mr. Alcorn. Second by Mr. Blanchard, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Engineering Grants Committee report. Mr.
Engineering Grants Committee met at 4:59 today. All members were present. We had an update from GIS Engineering regarding Jolamore Street Drainage Project, Belrose Lane Drainage Project, Bayou St. Vincent Project, and the Constant Canal Project. We had an update from Duplantis Engineering for the ring levees in Pierreport, where they presented us a 60% design estimate to consider, and we scheduled a meeting with them first week of August to discuss in more detail. We also approved for the president to sign an agreement to purchase immovable property. And that would be for one of these pump stations.
And probably on Highway 7.
Yeah, property on Highway 7.
Which was for? The price was?
50,000, I think, yeah.
And the funding sources coming out of the project, right?
Yes.
Update, we had an update from Infinity Engineering regarding the parish-wide sewer plant improvements project, and they will be revising change order number 1. we had an update on Monterey Drainage Project. We had an update from the grants coordinator, where we approved to appoint the president as the authorized signatory for Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program grants. We approved for the Secretary Treasurer and the OSEP Director to sign invoices and draws for all CDBG DRP grants. We approved and authorized the president to sign an appointment of Labor Compliance Officer form designating Doreen Reber as the Labor Compliance Officer for the RCIP grant. We approved and adopted the required CDBG Disaster Recovery Program policies.
You don't have to read all
We approved and authorized the president to sign the Rec Trails Program Letter Commitment Agreement for the Gilbert to Patty Walking Trail Project. We approved and authorized the president to sign the maintenance agreement for the Gilbert to Patty Park Walking Trail Project. We approved and authorized to accept Column Title LLC as the lowest quote for the abstract title opinion and legal fees for the purchase of property along Highway 70 for the Ring Levy project, and authorized the president to sign that contract. And we also had a motion to allocate $400,000 of our ARPA funds to a water infrastructure project on Highway 402, 403 to the Assumption Parish Waterworks. We had an update on the Ag Center roof project. We had an update on the health unit repairs. When we were approved to have the environmental assessment done on the health unit, the courthouse, and the DA's office. We had an update on the courthouse renovations project. We had an update on Shell Beach Boat Launch project. We approved substantial completion for the project known as Gilbert to Patty Park Improvements and authorized the president and secretary treasurer to sign all necessary documents. We approved and authorized the president to sign the amended IGA with CPRA for the Amelia Levy project to reflect a revised scope and available funding in the amount of $2 million, with the plan to further amend the agreement when an additional $1 million becomes available to CPRA. We also approved a 1.5 foot hardship variance on the south side property line at 203 Cajun Street in Fairport. I present this to you, Mr. President, in the form of a motion.
Motion by the chair,
Second.
second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item, presentation of 2025 audit by Island Amper, Ms. Joa and Ms. Dorsa.
Good afternoon, everyone. These extra copies to come up here before I get started. Okay. My name is Tiffany Dorsa. I'm the audit partner for the engagement for the December 31st, 2025 audit of the Assumption Parish Police Jury. We did pass out a bunch of documents, the actual annual audit report itself, financial report, the management letter, as well as the statewide agreed upon procedures. The short version is in this PowerPoint presentation that I'll be going over with you. So I'll put you all to sleep, hopefully. I'm gonna kind of run through the PowerPoint and kind of go through kind of what our responsibilities are, what we're required to tell you as part of the audit process. Suzanne's going to then go through some of the financial highlights for the fiscal year. And then I'm going to go over the in detail a little more about the findings that were identified as part of the audit. The first page just kind of talks about when we were engaged to start the audit period, and the reports that we issued. We do issue several different audit reports. We have an independent audit report over your financial statements. We issue a report in accordance with government auditing standards. We refer to as the yellow book because at one point the standards used to be in books covered by yellow. Those standards require us to gain an understanding of internal controls over your with respect to your contracts, compliance, and grant regulations. But we don't offer an opinion, but we do identify matters that would come to our attention as part of our audit process. And then we also issue an opinion over your major federal programs that we audit. This year, we did audit the Section 8 program as a major program. Moving on to the next, page 3 is kind of our agenda. our required communications, their accounting matters that we have to cover with you, and the financial highlights. The next page talks about what is our responsibility as your auditor. And our responsibility is to express an opinion of the financial statements, to determine whether or not they are materially correct in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. We did issue an unmodified opinion on those financial statements, which means that you did represent in all material respects in accordance with those principles. It gives you a reasonable amount of assurance, but not absolute assurance that that this financial statement is free of material misstatement, whether due to error or fraud. We do consider internal controls as we design our audit procedures and whether or not we're going to rely on those controls and how it impacts our testing. But we do not give you an opinion on internal controls or its effectiveness. However, if we do identify things within your internal control structure that we believe is important for you to know, we'll identify those. And we did have a couple of matters to disclose to you that was a result of our audit procedures. Moving on to page 5, we have to remain independent in accordance with ethical and regulatory standards, in accordance with the AICPA code, government auditing standards, and we do have to go through an evaluation process every year through engagement acceptance with you all to determine whether or not we can remain independent. We do provide other services outside of the actual audit itself, which includes the preparation of the assistance with the preparation of the financial statements, assistance with your schedule of federal expenditures. We do the federal data collection form, and we do help with newly issued standards as needed. So the next page just kind of covers our plan, scope, and timing. Those things were already kind of covered in the engagement letter, but it does have a reminder here about materiality. I mentioned materiality as part of our opinion. So it's a qualitative and quantitative number that's determined by the judgment of the auditor. And it really kind of considers the reasonableness of the users of these financial statements. So that's kind of how we go through our process. So depending on how we may assess something, or if we come across an error, we use materiality in that consideration. We do have to go through a risk assessment process, moving on to the next page. So as part of that risk assessment process, every engagement considers management override as a significant risk within your financial statements. We did consider capital assets a risk because of the significant balance of those numbers. You have significant judgments within your financial statement, which will include actuarial assumptions used in your net pension liability, reporting liability, and your OPEB, which is your other post-employment benefits liability. Because those are actuarially determined and there's assumptions used in those valuations, that is a significant risk. We look at federal program compliance, and those that cover the major areas of including procurement, eligibility, and reporting. And then we also had an additional risk identified this year with respect to contract and procurement policies, and we did expand our testing this year because of that identified risk. Moving on to the next page, talks about significant accounting policies. There's a very long list of what your accounting policies are that you have put into place in accordance with governmental accounting standards. That's usually a note 2 to the financial statements after description of your organizational structure. Your most sensitive disclosures are those that include the significant estimates, as well as those large dollar values of capital assets, long-term debt, and OPEB. We already talked about your significant estimates, and we did not have any uncorrected misstatements that were identified. And any items that were identified were corrected by management. So the next page kind of just gives you the dollar amounts of those significant estimates. You may look at that net pension liability of $12,000 and say that's probably not very significant. However, there's some deferred inflows and outflows that also attach to that liability. And so that number is not reflective here, but that is based on a significant estimate and valuation. Your OPEB liability is a little bit larger. It's about $4 million. And that's your retiree benefit payments for healthcare costs. And that's based on, a specific discount rate as well as healthcare cost trend assumptions. And then the other significant estimate in your financial statement relates to depreciation expense. As you know, at your fund level, you don't record depreciation expense, but at the government-wide level, you do record depreciation expense for all the capital expenditures and then amortized over the useful life of those assets. So that number represented about $3 million. Page 10 talks about our other required communications. We didn't have any identified unrelated parties that weren't already identified in your notes. We didn't have any disagreements with management or difficulties while we're performing our audit procedures. We didn't have any instances of fraud or suspected fraud that we identified, but we do have some findings related to internal controls and some non-compliance as a result of our review of the contracts and compliance. So we're going to go over those shortly. So the next page, kind of in high-level summary, gives you the results of that. And it talks about internal control over financial reporting. We did have one material weakness identified and one significant deficiency and one matter of non-compliance. And then we had an additional matter of non-compliance with respect to federal program. They're all interrelated, but they had to be reported in different areas. So I'm going to kind of walk you through that. But just to explain a little bit about internal control findings and what they actually mean. So in definition form by the AICPA, a significant deficiency basically is a weakness in your design or operation of your internal controls that is important enough to merit the attention of those charged with governance, which is you all, but not severe enough to create a reasonable possibility that there may be, that the financial statements or compliance reports contain a material error. A material weakness is a little bit more severe. It is more serious because it exists where there is a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement in the financial statements or an instance of non-compliance could occur and not be prevented or detected in a timely basis. So if you kind of put this in a little simple analogy, think of your house security system. So if your security cameras are working and one's not working, that's kind of a significant deficiency. If they're all not working, then you may have more risk because your cameras aren't working. So material weaknesses are more severe, and so they need to be addressed and taken seriously by the board and review. And that's also required by the Legislative Auditor's Office. And so you review these findings and make sure they are corrected on an ongoing basis. So just wanted to give you a little bit of scenario between the differences between the two. So when I talk about them and I say this was the material weakness, that one's kind of like, okay, raise the antennas. This one's a little more important, but the other one is important, just maybe not as important. And then we have other matters that we've identified that aren't as a finding, but we're opportunities for improvement. And we consider those in our, what we call our management letter. So they don't go in the final book of the report, but they are issued a separate letter to management, which are opportunities for improvement in those controls. Okay. So the next page just talks about management representations and that we have to get those and we consider going concern. I'm going to let Suzanne go ahead and talk about the numbers, and then we're going to go into the findings.
All right, so I'm just gonna talk about a couple high level things for you. The first financial snapshot here, this is your government-wide basis. So this is full accrual, and this includes the estimates that Tiffany was talking about for other post-employment benefits, net pension liability, fixed assets and depreciation. Your total net position increased approximately $72.2 million over the prior year, which is an increase of about $3.4 million or 4.9% from the prior year. Total assets grew to approximately $95 million, reflecting continued investment in parish infrastructure and operations. Most of your net position is invested in capital assets, such as roads, buildings, equipment, and infrastructure. These provide long-term benefits to residents of the parish. Your restricted resources remains significant at $30 million, demonstrating the parish's ability to fund voter-approved and legally restricted programs. So you have that money set aside for those items. The liabilities declined slightly while assets increased from the prior year. This contributed to the overall improvement in your financial condition from the prior year. So overall, these results reflect continued fiscal stability and responsible stewardship of public resources. So if you turn to the next slide, Now we'll look at your fund basis. This would be more reflective of what you see on a regular basis, the fund financial statements. So these funds generated a positive operating results and maintained healthy reserves over the year. Your governmental fund revenues totaled approximately $23 million, exceeding expenditures of approximately $20.9 million. Strong revenue performance was supported by taxes, grants, and service-related revenues that help fund parish programs and infrastructure improvements. The general fund remained financially healthy, ending the year with approximately $1.7 million in fund balance. Total governmental fund balances were approximately $38.9 million, with again, the majority restricted for specific purposes such as capital improvements, drainage, transportation, and other dedicated programs. Your major funds included sales and use tax fund, Low Mesa, and capital outlay. Those continue to provide resources for long-term parish priorities. Okay. Then we'll turn to the last one, and we'll talk about, so in addition to your local revenues, your federal funding continues to support a variety of programs and projects throughout the parish. Total federal expenditures during 2025 were approximately $1.77 million. Federal funding supported a variety of programs, including housing assistance, disaster recovery, transportation, energy assistance, community services, and emergency preparedness. The Section 8, as Tiffany mentioned, Housing Choice Voucher Program, we performed a single audit on that funding. That represented the largest federal program for 2025, accounting for approximately 38% of total federal expenditures. Your other significant programs for 2025 included FEMA assistance, transit funding, LAHEAP, and disaster recovery work. Again, these directly affect parish residents and infrastructure. So all of your major programs are subject to audit compliance requirements. So this reinforces transparency and accountability in the use of federal funds. In summary, 2025 was another positive year for the parish. The parish strengthened its overall financial position, maintained healthy fund balances, continued investing in infrastructure and community services, and effectively utilized federal funding to support residents.
And just so y'all know, the federal awards, we have to do a risk assessment of those programs, and there is a criteria if you need what's deemed a low-risk auditee, which means you didn't have any findings, material weaknesses, or prior compliance findings with question costs of greater than $25,000. You are considered low-risk auditee for the last 2 years, and you filed your data collection form on time. You consider low-risk auditee. So the audit would only encompass you only have to meet 20% requirement of testing your federal programs. If you're not a low-risk auditee, then you have to test 40% of your federal expenditures. So just for analysis, so you were considered a low-risk auditee. So that's why we only tested one major program, and it was 38% of those total federal awards. Now we're going to talk about the findings. Everybody flips to the back because that's the main thing, right? So how did we do? So we are financially stable, and we've done a great job managing the money throughout the year. We did have some matters that we wanted to bring to your attention. The first one, it relates to non-compliance with the bid law requirements of the state. So during our testing of 25 procurement activities, we had instances of non-compliance with public bid law that covered several matters. In 2 instances, contracts were awarded to the lowest responsible bidder. However, deductive changes orders that significantly reduced the contract amounts were approved concurrently with the contract awards, resulting in material modifications to the contracts at the time of the award and effectively altering the original bid amount. In addition, we had another instance where a contract was awarded to a vendor that was not the lowest bidder for all components as described in the request for proposal. And then we had documentation supporting 2 purchases made from a state contract that had not been retained. We did identify this as a material weakness in your internal controls, because of the number of contracts that did not comply with the state bid law. The other second finding relates to a different Louisiana law regarding written contracts and bonding requirements. So that requirement states that public work contracts that are exceeding $5,000 are to be in writing, and contracts exceeding $25,000 are to be supported by appropriate performance and payment bonds. We tested 11 contracts. We identified instances of non-compliance. For the public works projects that exceeded that all 11 did not have a written contract. The project totals ranged the amounts of between $7,000 and $60,000. 3 public works projects exceeding $25,000 did not have the required performance and payment bond documentation.
So, and if y'all looking to follow along in
I'm
the.
sorry,
the
page
big
125.
Page 125 is where she started.
On page 126, we did report a federal finding, not related to the program that we actually audited, but actually related to the Federal Transit Administration and your recreational trails program. Because this contract was paid with federal assistance, we did have to separately report that finding as it related to non-compliance in excess of non-compliance that resulted in question costs in excess of $25,000. When that occurs, the uniform guidance requires that a reportable finding be presented. So one of the contracts under this program was a little fitter, but again, a change order occurred, similar to the very first discussion on the internal control matter, therefore resulting in question costs of about $53,000. So those are our 3 findings. One was material weakness. That was our first one, and matters of non-compliance. The second one we considered a significant deficiency because of the dollar value of those contracts. However, it is something that needs to be addressed. The third one is procurement related to the federal program itself, and we identified that as another compliance matter, we already discussed the internal control matter in the other side. So those were your 3 findings. Any questions about those before I move on to your management comments?
No question, but statement. So as it pertains to number 1,
Yes, sir.
with the current bid laws
Mhm.
that came to our attention this year in 2026, that the state bid law had changed some criteria in how you are to accept bids. So we got dinged for something that we weren't aware of. It might have been our fault that we hadn't kept up with the current bid laws and the changes. So we got to accept that one, but that's not on us. I'm not going to take that one, but I get it. It won't happen again. So that's just my piece.
Anybody else? So I mentioned there was a management letter issued with opportunities for improvement in things that we've identified. So our first comment covered credit card purchases. So out of our agreed upon procedures engagement, our statewide agreed upon procedures, we do look at 5 credit cards. And we're looking at authorization practices, documentation that's required as part of that practice. For the month selected for testing, for 3 of the cards, the credit card statements were not maintained. For 1 transaction, a purchase order was not available. And then for 1 of the credit cards, it reflected a negative account balance, means it was overpaid. And so, but it took 6 months before that was rectified.
So these were mainly not internal accounting issues. They were issues that were the result of some of the other boards or the other funds that report are under your umbrella, but they're not, the accounting policies are kind of outside of, in scope of in-house police jury.
Right.
So for example, potentially like the library board, some of the recreation districts, some of those there's external procedures.
And the one she's referencing is that credit balance or negative balance on a credit card. That was not in fact an overpayment. That was a payment incorrectly apply to an account resulting in an overpayment. The issue was there was no balancing onto the statement, so it took 6 months to rectify.
Thank you.
Question, Ms. Torres. Based off these findings, this is why, I think not the last meeting, but maybe 1 or 2 meetings prior, we had to go out and get additional funding to pay this company that found some extra stuff in the
Was
system.
not because of this credit card stuff. That was through the contract review on the issues they found with contracts. That warranted that. But yes, that's why they did the additional testing on contracts that they did.
Okay.
Because I assume that their results met a certain threshold, which pushed them over to another level. So, but yes, we did have to approve that additional funding for their testing.
The second management letter comment, again, kind of relates to procurement practices, but really specifically micro purchases and competitive quotations and the documentation that needs to be supported in those contracts. So we did identify, there were 3 micro purchases for repairs of materials. However, the documentation determining the reasonableness of the price was not maintained, which is one of the requirements when you're going to do use the micro purchase threshold under the federal awards.
And just for an example, if you are purchasing something with federal funds, it could be $5. You have to get these additional prices to prove reasonableness. Correct?
Yeah, there's no floor.
There's no floor threshold.
Yeah, there's no floor.
Just
So
a
I mean,
ceiling. It's just a
it's
ceiling.
tedious,
That's right.
it's a
There's just a
lot,
ceiling, not a
but
floor.
it's what we're required to do.
The next matter related to actual deviations from the police jury's procurement policy. So when you have federal law, state law, then you have your own policies, and you're more restrictive than the other policies. So when we looked at those procurement things, we did identify instances where you didn't follow your own policy, which would include 1 instance where a purchase order wasn't obtained, 3 instances where informal quotes were not secured, 2 instances which required minimum of 3 documented quotes, which was not available, and 2 instances in which formal bids were not solicited in accordance with your internal policy. The final matter relates to your IT access and security controls. So you may or may not know, but obviously IT has a significant portion to do with your financial data. And as part of that understanding, of understanding your IT environment, we need to understand how it impacts the output of financial reporting for you all, as well as the systems that you're using. So we have to gain that understanding of the IT environment in addition to your regular, maybe manual practices outside of that environment. So as part of that, we did identify some things where you could use some improvement on your user management, access management processes, more formalizing that, documenting your periodic reviews of system and network access, and then ensuring that certain system protection tools, making sure they're timely renewed and that the support is, updated accordingly. So we didn't get into a lot of detail here. We don't want to expose the police jury to any risk. So information was provided in a lot more detail to management so that your IT folks can address that
We
matter.
did adopt a policy tonight.
Okay, great. So that was it.
Well, that's not really it. They didn't even talk about the AUPs, but that's.
We didn't talk about the
That's a whole nother
AUPs, right.
stack. That.
Well, I was going to get.
Please do it.
Okay, so I was gonna get there. So it's not a part of your packet, but we do, as I mentioned, we have those statewide agreed upon procedures where we look at those 12 different areas that the legislative auditor, it's this report right here. And we did have a few matters that we identified as part of those procedures. One of them related to credit cards was already kind of addressed and moved into the management letter.
Just for your FYI, if you see no exception noted, that means there were no issues.
Yeah, and so just so you know as well, these procedures are very clear and specific.
It's yes or no.
There's no judgment. Is there an
There's no gray.
exception?
No, there's no
Is
gray.
there, is this documented or is this, is this the correct procedure or not? And so that's how the answers are written in the.
Yeah, we can't give an explanation. Well, we didn't do that, but we did this. It said, did you
do this?
Did you do this? And if the answer is no, we did not do this, then there is an exception reported. So that's kind of how it works. Even if you would have a mitigating control or other process that may catch it, this is a best practice that the legislative order believes you should have in place. And so whether you did something different or not, like I said, it's yes or no. There is no gray in these answers. So either complied or you didn't. The first procedure where we had an issue was, or matter exception, was related to bank reconciliations that the
Page
bank.
5.
Go ahead.
Tell them the page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Page 5.
This is procedure 3AI and it is on page
5.
It is on page 5. And you can see in the middle of that page, the bank reconciliation was not prepared within 2 months of the related statement closing date for one of the 5 bank accounts that we tested. The next one, 3A2, that is a little bit further down. The bank reconciliation was not reviewed within 1 month of the date of the reconciliation being prepared for one of the 5 accounts we looked at. The next procedure is 5C2, which is on page, it's on page 9. So of the 20 transactions we selected for testing, so our procedure was that we observed whether disbursement documentation included evidence of segregation of duties tested under a different procedure. We tested 20 transactions. A purchase order was required for 12 of those. Of the 12, 1 transaction was not supported by a purchase order. And in the other 4 transactions, the same person initiating the purchase order also approved the purchase order. So that's a segregation of duties issue. And let's see, the next, page 10. Thank you. That's 6.
The 6B.
A B. 5I. I think that's right. BI, yeah, so observe whether there is evidence that the monthly statement or combined statement supporting documentation. This relates to credit cards, were reviewed and approved in writing and electronically approved by someone other than the authorized cardholder. And so we did observe that a statement could not be provided for 3 of the 5 credit card statements. And as mentioned, we included that in our management letter comment as well. And then I think the last one is related to contracts.
It's the top of page 13.
Top of page 13 for one. So we randomly selected one payment from the fiscal period for each of the 5 contracts, obtained the supporting invoice, agreed the invoice to the contract terms, and observed whether the invoice and related payment agreed. For one of the 5 contracts selected, the invoice did not agree to the terms and conditions of the contract. So those were our exceptions. You read all the other ones, you didn't have any exceptions. Little light reading, bedtime reading. So overall, good audit results, things to work on that need to be addressed. And as a board, you do have to review those findings until they're corrected. So that is one of the requirements that we do look at as part of the statement.
Well, thank
That
you.
concludes my report.
Good. I know we made some, internally, we did some, had some meetings. And hopefully we can rectify them and hopefully the next go around will be fine. So just hopefully you got your point across when you had the meetings, how important it is that we do follow procedures in-house, purchase orders. And specifically, 'cause that's a no-brainer. In my book, you don't spend none of our money unless you got a purchase order. And, what other findings may be, but our girls gonna stay on top of it and, all in all, not a bad audit. We had better, but we had worse, so that's a good one. We're okay. Any comments, Mo?
I'll correct it a lot.
Yeah.
Easily correct.
And just for the record, aside from all this documentation, they also, which they're not telling y'all, they also provided me with a handout about this thick of recommended policies and procedures. I'm yet to even read it, so.
So what she's referring to is uniform guidance, federal awards requirements are that you have written policies and procedures over all of the compliance areas that are directed material to the federal programs that you're responsible for. So Section 8 has its policies and procedures. ARPA money has different policies and procedures. The coronavirus money had its own policies and procedures. If the Jobs Act contract. So any federal award that you receive may have different, there's some that are very common, but there may be some controls, and we're talking about written policy procedure, which basically means controls to ensure you're complying with those requirements. It does require that it be written. So we did make that verbal comment, and we did provide examples that are in the compliance supplement with respect to internal controls over compliance.
So
Now,
we'll be
be
working
on the lookout, because I know there's a lot of changes going on by the federal government with respect to uniform guidance, whether or not they're going to issue another compliance supplement. Just recently, there's been a lot of talk about significant changes coming down from the Trump administration. So that's today's requirement.
More
More to come. So we will try to keep you abreast and send you any information that we have that may reflect a change, but as of now, that is the requirement.
All right.
We'll be looking for those policies and procedures when we come back next year.
I hope that's not the ones you're gonna thank us on again, right? Because we didn't know.
Well, you have to
You have to
understand,
adopt it and make.
here we
effort.
are July, and
That's
they're
right.
gonna pull January
Right.
through July and find some of the same errors. And all we can ask them is, can you please pull something from
Yeah, we will.
mid-July to December
Yeah.
and then
We
see
will.
if we have
We will.
improvements?
So we will not
They
repeat
work
it
with us
if
on
we will not repeat it if we see evidence that has been corrected
Correct.
since we have told you.
Right.
So we may, by just random sample, pick something from a different period, but we do, when we go to see if this is corrected, we will look for those that occur after we've notified you to see if you've moved and moved the
That's
needle.
fair, that's
Yes.
fair.
Yeah, you gotta remember, we broke.
I know.
We broke.
Not
That's
a
not what I
reason
heard
to not
today.
follow.
That's what they said, not today.
Not today, you didn't read the report?
I didn't hear that today.
Oh, I didn't hear that either.
This is a point in time, though. This was December 31st. So these numbers are December 31st, not June numbers. So, you have expended in 6 months. So.
And just for a follow-up to this board, as a response to all of this, if you want to know specifically what was the issue, we can talk about that offline about specifically, but I had a meeting with the entire police jury staff as far as those involved with administrative duties, as far as POs and purchase orders and contracts and whatnot. With the Kelport Recreation District, I had a meeting with the library, and we also went to Bayou Lewis and met with both of those districts. We went through all of this with everyone. We emphasized the importance of it. And the reason why I want them to stand there and tell you everything they check is just, this is not Kim and Melissa being petty about these things. They pull volumes and volumes of data, and they're just looking for us following the rules, and it's very important. Every meeting we had, everyone seemed receptive. We did have to put a few new policies and procedures in play to prevent some of these things, or as another safeguard. Sometimes we get a little pushback from that because it does create maybe a little bit more work, but when things are not being done correctly, we have to put something in place to try to prevent that. And always it causes more work. It is what it is. So I just want y'all to know we're working on it. And again, you might get phone calls saying we holding up progress because we're requiring A, B, and C. Well, they told us we need A, B, and C, so we requiring A, B, and C.
Well, no, they didn't tell us. They following the federal
And that's what
guidelines.
we trying to do.
So the government is telling us, and they're just relaying the message. That's what it is.
Same thing we doing too, but it never comes across that way. We just relaying the message.
Right, and you really don't want to continue to have
We want to
either
clean
federal
it.
or state
Right.
law violations.
So they do have the 3 strikes rule, and I don't know if I've explained that before because y'all haven't had significant findings in the past, but there is a 3 strike rule that the state follows. So if there is a repetitive finding 3 years in a row, they can send you to Legislative Auditor Council, and y'all have to stand up. Somebody up there has got to stand up there and explain why y'all haven't corrected those findings. So they do have the option to do that. They have the option to cut your funding if that happens, or stop funding that comes through the state. So it's not something to take lightly when we report a finding. It is something to address it and make sure you're correct.
All right, any questions? Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Appreciate it.
Good job.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. All right, next item, discuss grass cutting maintenance of all ditches, trimming trees and overlaying of all state highways. Mr. Joshua Stutes.
He called me today. He got the request. He's unable to attend. He is going to plan to attend for August 12th.
Did you include that LA 1247 with the maintenance of sweeping and cutting? Did that never go
All
down?
state roads. That's why he wanted to just say, oh, I can meet with him one-on-one. I said, they asked for your presence to discuss all issues. So he said he'll come back
The next week.
the next meeting.
1247 is the parish. Roller Road is parish.
Really?
Roller Road is a parish.
Yes, it is. Parish road.
You went.
Jeff took it over.
Well, I know with the gerrymandering in the last reapportionment too. There was a lot of crap.
1247.
5 years ago.
Or at least.
Yeah.
That's why I'm paying street money.
Discuss camp on Family Street.
Yeah, I put on the agenda, I know Kim talked about it to the lady, I think she got a phone call from this lady, but anyway, I brought it on the agenda for Mike to look at it, and Mike looked at it. I showed pictures of the camp and all that, and Mike decided it's really civil
Oh, yeah.
than anything else, right?
That's what we call it. Yeah. She didn't like
Now you
it.
want to maintain Mike, attention.
So you're gonna table it, right?
Yeah.
No action.
No action.
Press approval to memorialize the Supreme Bridge, White Crab Bridge, and the Pointville Bridge.
Yeah, Representative Beryl Amadi was supposed to been working on this, since 12/10/25. But, I called her about 9 times and twice I got that, her phone wasn't set up to take messages. And then, today, one of the agents in the office called me. And, they saw that I'd been trying to call her and I wanted to get information. This was supposed to be going to the legislature approval. And I never heard anything. I don't know if y'all heard here anything from it. It was good. But it's a shame that the people we're trying to recognize, they gave their lives to this country and world. Can't get a bridge in their memory. It takes so doggone much crap. So I'm gonna get with, the new one is, Chastity Martinez. She's a representative now. Try to get, they called, her office called me today. But that's before the meeting, and talked to them yet. And we'll see what's been done, if it's been through the legislature, if not, let's go.
And what bridge is that?
That's Supreme to Bourneville,
She go that
by
far?
crap.
She don't go that far.
Who?
She don't, Chastity don't go that far. Beryl pick up there.
I know, but she told me to call them.
Now, by
Oh,
your
oh.
Crab Bridge, Chastity got that one,
Yeah.
and the Pointville, yeah, she got them two.
The Bourneville and, okay, but
Yeah,
Supreme.
she got
is
those
on.
two.
Right, she does.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
she'll work on it, but you can help me with it.
Okay. All right. Press approval to invite postmaster to a meeting to discuss address changes. We did that back in 25 also, and they didn't show up.
Nobody showed up, so what's the future there?
I don't think local postmasters can make that change anymore.
No, they told me in Washington, it's a local issue. I called Washington. So get with the post office boss, if they got one. And I would like to have a meeting with them. Because we're losing a lot of stuff because of those addresses, and there's no need to have 8 parishes in our parish.
The system got a lot better, Charlie.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it does. I know it. I deal with it
I had
every day.
problems for the last 30 years with that. With the Labradorville Clinic was one, trying to get a federal grant to run a rural clinic. They said it's too many with the Thibodeau address already. Let's get on our own, the hell with all that. Or just sell them that property. Give it to Thibodeau. Give by Lewis to Morgan City.
Discuss further action required for junk complaint at 2707 Highway 308. Ward 4.
Yeah, that's under my name, gentlemen. This is a matter with some property in Labadeville, 2707 Highway 308, belonging to Mr. Derek Bima. I just wanted to let you know kind of where we were with this process. There was a complaint submitted, a junk complaint back in August of 2025. There was some, you can come on up, Mr. Bima. there was some lack of progress, so I got involved in the process like normal. Communicated with Mr. Bima on March the 26th of 26. Had a very good conversation. Mr. Bima was extremely apologetic, explained his situation. He was having some financial difficulty at the time and some health issues. So I gave him my cell phone. We stayed in close contact from that time until today's date. On April the 24th was about the month from the first time we spoke. He gave me an update in terms of where he was on the property. He had contacted LA 811, so he could drive some fence posts. He scheduled some dumpsters to be delivered to his property for disposal of some of the debris, and he arranged for transport of some inoperable motor vehicles which were on site. After we spoke at that point, we had been talking a good bit, kind of went radio silence. That's when I came to find out that Mr. Beamer had an accident on a lawnmower, which clearly he's still experiencing some difficulty with a spinal injury on plus or minus May the 5th. So the reason why we're here today, gentlemen, is I understand Mr. Beamer is trying to make some progress. There was another complaint made on June the 17th. So being that there wasn't much that he was able to accomplish, I wanted him to come before the jury, explain to you all his situation, and then see what you all wanted me to do in response to his particular situation. So I thought it was very important for him to be here, speak to you all directly in case you got calls from community members with the lack of activity on his property. But again, we have been in close contact from March the 26th when we first spoke until today's date. And I think he's doing the best that he can. But again, I'll let him speak for himself or his family, whoever wants to contribute some information on this topic.
Yes, good afternoon, I'm Derek Beamer.
That might
No,
be-
no, don't worry, we can hear you up there.
Okay.
We can hear you up there.
The mic's up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I,
Good to see you out and about. my
Good to
friend.
see you.
1 year ago, this past week, I fell on the same property and tore my quad. So I had to have surgery on that. So that had me down for the last year. I was still going for therapy for that. And I started working on the property and then I flipped in the bayou with my lawnmower and broke my neck.
But you had an
So
incident
now,
before.
so now I got spinal cord injury I've been going to therapy for the last month. And it's coming along, but very slow. So, and what needs to be done over there, I need to be involved in it. It's not something I could hire anybody to do. There's a lot of stuff have to be moved so I could put up a fence. So where I'm at right now, I can't physically do it. And, my son had been working out of town. As soon as he comes back, and he's not gonna be working out of town, he's gonna be able to start helping me with it, so we could put up some fence posts. Cause I gotta put a big rolling gate there, cause we back 18 wheelers in and out of there. And you gotta have a big wide gate, cause I'm backing in off of 308. You can't back in a 16-foot gate. Cause you don't have enough room. And the truck and trailer is 75 feet long. It's not easy to do, so I gotta have a big rolling gate. So it's gonna take me some time to get it done, but plan on getting it done as soon as I can.
And Mr. Beamer, you said when you had your accident, you had a dumpster on the property, right?
Well, I had the
You-
dumpster coming.
On the
I was
trailer.
making
some-
room. I was
Right.
making room to be able to put the dumpster,
Right.
and the dumpster is still sitting on the trailer, waiting to come. There's a few things I got left to move before I could put the dumpster in there, so.
And your son Victor's here tonight. He's the one that's gonna help you moving forward, hopefully, once
Yeah.
his work schedule frees up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it just happened, he's working out of town. In Venice, 12 hours a day, he only came home for the hurricane, and that job's supposed to finish in August. So he's gonna be working local again, and he's gonna be going to school right here at the Assumption Welding School, when school starts back in August.
Gotcha.
So he's gonna be home.
So
You
gentlemen,
need an extension? You said you just
Yeah.
gave you a few days? Would you
No,
need an
Charlie, you
extension?
need some time, Charlie.
I'm telling you, I know it's happening.
Give it some time.
He was whipping in the morning, he broke his neck.
Okay, well, how?
And that's about 2 months ago, I guess.
2 months?
2 months,
Yeah. So,
yes.
give him.
I put a
No,
motion
but
on the
then I
floor that
just
we-
saw him the other day, and I know
Yeah,
you.
man.
I put a motion on the floor that we grant him a year extension.
Yeah.
Get
I'll
it done
second
before
that
the end of the
motion.
fire.
From what date, please?
From the day's
What's the
date.
date?
Why the people so damn disturbed now? That stuff has been there for years,
30 years.
30
It's always
years.
been a
Now
business
they
and it's been
disturbed.
operated for the
And
truck.
they even moved in there
All right, we got a motion.
With the dumpster, no, but they moved there, why,
Year's good
why,
enough?
they didn't like it, don't move there.
Yeah, we got a
Eric,
motion.
is a year good enough, you think?
Yes,
Are
if we
you-
need additional, we'll come back.
And look, he's got my cell phone, we talk
Yeah.
regularly, he'll keep me updated, and if we need something else.
You got a
we'll come back
motion
to
on
you.
the floor?
Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor by
What's the
Mr.
plan,
Carter.
just to put a fence across the front?
Oh, we're gonna put a fence.
All, what you
And
want,
remove some of the debris stuff.
He just
going
needs to
all the way
free up some
around your
space.
property or just in the front?
Just
Just the
in the
front,
front.
Just the front?
that's all you need.
Yeah, he can't do it like that.
You wanna go down 400 if you wanna see some dump sites.
Well, I know they got dump sites all over the.
Well, that would be careful.
Look, man,
All
You
right,
got a
there's
motion on the floor?
By Mr. Carter, and I have a
Not a
second.
year. He needs some more time to
Second by
come see.
Mr. Diaz, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank y'all, good luck to you.
Good luck, David.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm there.
First approval, to adopt ordinance 2610 to establish a new polling place for Ward 3, Precinct 2.
Yes, Mr. Patero brought this to my attention that they are looking for this change. So here is the.
That's your motion.
Motion by Mr. Patero, second by Mr. Alcon, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. First approval to adopt ordinance 2611 to levy grass charge totaling $294.20. Motion by Mr. Mathern, second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. First approval to adopt resolution providing for canvassing the returns and then declaring the results of special election held in consolidated fire protection district and social parish road line district June 27, 2026, to authorize the renewal of special taxes therein. Motion by Mr. Carter, second by Mr. Blanchard, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. First approval for the first phase of the derelict structure procedure for dwelling located at 817 and 821 Shell Beach Road. Motion. First phase, pictures in your motion by Mr. Mathern. Second by Mr. Pineville, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. First approval of the first phase of derelict structure for dwelling located at 729 Shell Beach Road. Motion by Mr. Mathern, second by Mr. Pineville, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Request approval of a can shake, well, we had one of those in a while. Permit for the St. Joseph Worker Catholic Church, May 29 and 30, 2027. They have a federal ID number, I'm sure they do. So motion by Mr. Pineville, second by Mr. McFerrin, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Request approval for occupational license applications for Thrifty Mama Shop, Danette's Unique Creation, Unique Gifts LLC, A Bit of Everything, Falcon Design and Fines, and Bayou Bread Company. It's all just shop, mom and pop shops. So moved by Mr. Blanchard. Second by Mr. Carter, all in favor? Oh, got one deviation. One deviation, Mr. Blanchard, what you got?
Yeah, I have one deviation regarding a request to hold an event at the Belrose Community Park. And I'd just like the jury to consider it and essentially help me decide if we can allow this event or not.
What kind of event?
It's it was represented as Belrose Lane Reunion.
Yeah, where you want? That's behind the library.
But I don't want to get too far into it, could deviate.
Oh,
It's motion.
I'm sorry.
Motion deviation.
Yeah, motion deviate by Mr.
I have
Blanchard, second by Mr. Carter.
I would
All in
like to
favor?
Deviate also.
What you
I'd
got?
like to request the start to sell some property that we own, adjudicated properties. And one's a big dump site that we can't clean. So I would like to sell it.
You don't want nobody dump site. You double talking. But that's for Cheetah Lane you talking about?
Yes, I
That's
want to
all
sell
like-
the property.
It's already adjudicated to us.
I know, we can sell it though, we can put it on auction.
It's for sale. It's for sale.
It's for
It's
sale.
for
It's for sale, it's for sale, good, I have some more. Fertitta Lane is 161, 127, 170, 135, and then Pelican is 102.
If it's adjudicated to.
It's adjudicated, all
It's
this is
already
adjudicated,
fulfilled.
right here.
Already fulfilled.
Tell them to buy it. They can start the process.
Yeah, they can buy, who wanna buy it, you gotta put it up for auction.
It
is,
is,
yeah.
it
It
is.
is.
They have it on the website.
Where is it? Okay.
I'm gonna send you the link
But people
tomorrow.
interested in it,
Okay.
especially the neighbors.
You'll send you a link tomorrow, Charlie. All right, that's a motion to deviate, second by Mr. Carter. Go ahead, Mr. Blanchard.
All right, so, I was approached by, I guess we would just call it the event coordinator for this. She's the one that came up with the idea. The urgency part of this is the date that they have scheduled is September 5th. I didn't think it could be wait until our first meeting in August because they need to advertise for this. So normally I know how it's kind of happened in areas outside of the rec districts that the jurors kind of decide what goes on in those areas or not. The reason why I wanted to bring that here is the original intent of this park was to never have giant gatherings like this, small birthday parties and stuff like that, is fine. So that's why I had a concern. I initially told the requester that no, we can't have it there. I had concerns about parking along the road, parking on LA1, parking down Belrose Lane and clogging up the area. But I went and had a meeting with her there to kind of discuss that with her to see exactly what they were wanting to do. Let her know that there's no bathroom facilities and things like that. I just had concerns about, if we allow one event, then the next time somebody wants to come, I have confidence that they're gonna be responsible here for this type of event, for the description of it. They have people that grew up down Belrose Lane, they want a place to gather in Belrose. This is public property. I don't see a reason why they couldn't. The only problem is, if I think they may be responsible the next time if somebody is not responsible and we have to shut it down. I don't want it to be well, you let this person do it, you didn't let that person do it. So I don't want to be the sole person deciding what happens at this park. I represented to her that I would bring it to the jury and let the jury take a vote on it if they would allow this event to happen there. Because I don't think one juror should be controlling the use of a park like that. That's public property. So that's why I wanted to bring it here. I'll take any questions. I asked her plenty of questions. She suggested alternate parking areas, and so forth. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it being there. I just wanted to bring it to the jury to get the jury's approval to okay the event.
Have they reached out to the library since they are including their property?
Well,
No, they're not.
the libraries, the library's on parish property.
The library's on.
Well, I know, but they still operate on their own premises as far as that purchase of that property in their.
Yeah, but this would be on
building.
the weekend. Library's not open on the weekend.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, it is.
They are on Saturdays.
Saturdays, I don't know.
I'm not saying it's a requirement,
Yeah,
but I think it would
Saturdays
be
is open.
Well,
Sundays
I
are nice.
think, I would think they would coordinate with the library to make it happen. Quite honestly, most of the people that use that library are gonna be at this event. There's no other way around it. I mean, the people that use the library are those, a lot that walk in from there. But if we need to have some spots reserved, I can let her know what the jury requests. I'm open to any suggestion to bring to them. I just didn't want I didn't want to make a decision solely as a juror of that area on parish property. I think it's the
You got
jury's
some, you
decision.
got insurance, you got police. You got a couple.
It'd be the same thing as the alumni, pretty much.
No, they ain't gonna, no, that's totally
It might
different.
not be that.
Completely
size.
different event. That's what I was
Totally
concerned about. That's
different,
why I wanted to
no.
meet with her about and be assured that it wasn't that type of event.
No, it ain't gonna be that type of event.
I let her know that whenever we were designing this park, I spoke to the neighbors around there and assured them that we weren't gonna have concert type things, which is what I would call an alumni picnic in this residential area. And this is kind of a gray line, and I just didn't want to make a decision on my own. I wanted the jury to.
What is the event?
So it's a reunion for families that grew up down Belrose Lane, moved away.
That's all.
They want to come back on that weekend and gather
And
there.
gather right there.
What she said is she was at the park, sitting on the bench last weekend and said, this would be a perfect place for us to gather. It was walking distance for a lot of the people here. Why can't we have it here? So that's when she reached out to me to see if they could have it there. Logistically, I think it's feasible to do it there. If the jury wants to put some requirements for insurance, I'm perfectly fine with that. If the jury wants to charge a fee to have it there, I'm perfectly fine with
You
that.
gotta clean it up and all that.
No, they
gonna-
are gonna clean it and leave it as it was. And like I told her, if it's not, then it'll ruin it for the next person and it won't happen
Yeah.
again. You know, I let her know that this park was never intended to be for big gatherings and never intended to be after dark. They're gonna do this during the day on the Saturday. The hour she gave me was 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So I don't see a reason why, they couldn't have it, but I wanted to bring it to the jury.
I make a motion,
I don't think we
So let
need some
me-
type of agreement.
And I was just gonna say, gentlemen, I'm not against this at all. We have been talking, Ms. Beryl Gomez, with Veterans Park has approached me about doing a rental agreement for the parks. Hers especially, and then throughout the parish. This would be a good jumping off point for that. I don't wanna, when was this particular one, September?
September 5th.
I mean, I'm sure we get something drafted. It's just a matter of kind of what you all are looking for and somebody to provide me with some guidance on the first one. And then we may just have to have that as a working draft and then continue after that with some, a final document.
I'll second it more.
So we'll proceed. We're not gonna proceed yet. We will draw up.
You can approve it contingent upon the drafting of a rental agreement if somebody just provides me some guidance as to what we're looking in a
Fee,
rental. I'm not
insurance,
overly
whatever you wanna
familiar
put
with all
in.
of these
It's
parks.
a- it's a
so
bar- it's
there
a-
may some- be
it's a
some things
park.
in Belrose
They
that
can
might
just
be
go there and
different
use it
than
anyway.
So on and so
Sure.
forth. I just need some
Yeah,
guidance. on
Mike,
how to do it.
There's a park, they could just go there anyway and just do it.
Sure, but they didn't. They've asked. So now we have to put something into place so that way we're protected if in the event something occurs.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Carter, second by Mr. Brill, that will approve based on some type of.
Some form of a rental agreement.
Some type of agreement. That Mike will look at.
And which includes the liability insurance requirement.
Insurance
Okay.
especially, but you all talked about a fee, if you wanna just leave that off for this one, and then in the future, we're gonna develop some strategy on that. Again, like I said, each part's different, so I don't know.
let's leave a fee off for this one here. and
Yeah,
then
leave a fee off for this one.
Come with
Yeah,
the
we're gonna
jury.
look, we're gonna be looking into something.
Just make sure they don't park on the road, because that's gonna be an issue this
And
time.
I let her know that the sheriff's office will be contacted and they will be having people move off the
We're
wall.
gonna have to put that in the
So-
agreement as well. That would be something to that.
Any public comment on that before we call for a vote? No public comment, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Motion adjourned.
By
Hey,
Mr.
question,
Diaz, second by Mr.
Question
Allen.
real quick, I know we got on item number 19 about the tax collection to be, we not doing nothing with the RV, we ain't doing nothing with that?